And we're live. Look at that. Hey, 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 folks. Good to see you guys and gals and our children and all, of all religions. We got AJK, Big Cole, Sheldon. Who else is in the house over here? Jack, Sugar Britches, and let's see, Sue from Down Under. Wow. Tonight I got open lines. I called it Winter Supernatural. Just because it's winter and I'm cold as last week's taters, as a couple of westerns I used to watch. That's one of their catchphrases. So, extinguish your device. Yeah. If you got, let's see, hold on just a second. Do you have a device in the background?
Who, me?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have a?
Yeah, I just closed my computer.
Okay. Yeah, there we go. Now we go. I was hearing my voice in the background. No, hold on just a second. I still hear me. I've got echo. That's kind of...
Yeah, it's not echo on my end. Thank goodness. I hate that when you try to talk and you hear your own voice talk back at you.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Unfortunately, that's the way it's going right now. Hey. Well, let me call you right back. Maybe that'll work.
Okay.
Okay, I'll call you right back.
All right, thanks.
All right, so I don't know what that's about, buddy. Anyway, let me get this sucker going here. And call I've got the first caller already on the line, and we'll had it online. Name is Dennis and Jamie from Ohio. Dennis had called me in the past. It's been a hot minute, but I've got Jamie that you heard online just now. All right, are you there? Oh, still ringing, ring-a-ding-a-ding-a-ding.
Hello?
All right, now. Nope.
Is that better?
I can hear my voice in the background. That's all right. It's not a big deal. We'll be all right.
Well, my husband's trying to find you on YouTube right now, but he can't find you, so there's like no sound in here except for the cat just said meow.
Okay, well, all you have to do is go over to Chasing the Truth, Shawn G. So I'm
over
live.
To Chasing the Truth, Shawn G. He's live right now.
Live right now. Absolutely.
Yeah, actually, he was on your show about 3 months ago, and until you called, he looked himself up and listened to his radio show.
Oh, that's cool. Awesome.
He said and heard how stupid he sounds. Next time we'll have to do better.
No. The only person that sounds stupid on my show is me. So.
Nah.
Yeah. Okay.
Actually, I've listened to your show, and it's answered a lot of my questions.
Oh, well, that's great. I'm glad to hear. What I'm going to do, folks, I'm going to go ahead and start my show off as I usually do every other show that I've done for the last few years. I'm going to start off with prayer. So here we go. Father in heaven, please give us the ability to praise you and thank you for allowing us another day and another time to come before you. Father God, I humbly ask our Lord Jesus Christ that if it be in accordance with your holy will, that all the curses and evil demonic involvement and or attacks being sent against us be blocked and be sent back from whence it came. Father God, please bless your following children. Shell and Aiden, Laura and her family, Jillian Jeff, Sharon Guy, Patrick, Brenda, Julie S., Aaron Erica, AJK, Claire Ellis, Dahl, Gil and Jalen Breland, plus their mama Janice, Stimulate, Jack and his children, Juanita Hicks, Lee, Amy, Beth and Kurt and their father, Wes and his dad, T. Willis, Daryl Pratt, Jose Ramirez, Julie Wheeler, Marquetta Jones and her family, Holly, Sharon Arms, and Kevin. And anyone else that has any unspoken prayers, please, Father, bless those folks as you see fit. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. All right, I currently have a couple. I guess the first one that's on the line right now is Jamie from Ohio, and her husband's in the background somewhere.
Yeah, he's watching on YouTube. He's just watching on YouTube.
Awesome. Great. So you have, well, I'm going to let folks listen to you. I'm not going to sit here and spoil the show and say, okay, well, I'm going to fill you in on what I know about her. Why don't you give us some particulars, Jamie? What's going on with you?
Okay. What's going on with me personally?
Yeah, why? What's Give us a little background. Why did you call in the show, and what has been going on with you? I know that you had some illness going
Yes,
on.
sir. Last year they said I had multilobular pneumonia,
Hmm.
and I went ahead and I went to the hospital for it, and they realized that it was cancer in my middle and lower lobe of my lung on my right side. So they went ahead and they removed my middle lobe and lower lobe. When they figured out what cancer it was, I have small cell carcinoma, which is pretty general. A lot of people get that. But I have small cell or non small cell sarcoma in my right lung as well. And that is it's a very rare cancer. It only forms in muscle and bone.
Mm,
So it formed in my lung as a primary cancer.
wow.
So I don't know what to do with that since it formed as a primary cancer. So they removed it and they said within 2 years it will form someplace else, whether it be in my arms or my legs or in my neck or at the base of my brain, because that's where they normally form.
Mm. So right now you got a clean bill of health. You
Oh
went
yeah,
through.
right now the only thing that's left is I have a small pleural effusion on my right lung because there's a little tiny hole in it from where they removed it, and
Hmm.
it's filling up. It's filling the pleural effusion up. So they don't know if that's going to be permanent or not. But as it stands, I can do everything that I did normally, and I'm doing great. So that is awesome. My hair has grown back. I have 3 inches of hair. I hate it that
Hey,
it's on my neck because I can't put it in a ponytail, but at least I've got it.
that's awesome. God does wonders, that's for sure.
Oh, he
And
does. But my one random thing, so my license needed renewed last year, and all my hair, I had lost all my hair. So I went to the driver's license place and I was wearing my husband's hat backwards. And I went up there and he said, please remove your hat for the picture. And I pulled off my hat and I said, I lost all my hair due to chemotherapy. Can I wear my hat in the picture? I'm the only person that's wearing a ball cap in a driver's license picture.
what kind of baseball cap? Was it a sports cap? What kind of cap was it?
It was actually a Jeff Gordon NASCAR cap.
A NASCAR cap. Oh man, oh man. Now
Oh,
my aunt,
oh yeah, he's big
yeah,
NASCAR fan.
my aunt Linda was Crusty Rusty fan for the longest time. So,
Oh.
so what's going on with? Why did you want to call in and tell us some stories? What's going on in
Well, my
Iowa?
husband keeps getting after me to go ahead and call you with some stories, and I haven't done it yet. So tonight was my first time. He wanted me to do it on Saturday, but we didn't find you in time.
Oh, okay. So what kind of
So,
what's going on that you have stories? What kind of stories you want to tell us to start off with?
well, I have ghost stories, and I have alien stories,
Mm,
and a possible Bigfoot story.
I'll take all three.
Well, the ghost story, there's a few of them actually.
Okay.
When Dennis called you 3 months ago, he was telling you that he thought that he had invited an entity to him. When we were in Florida, strange things kept happening in our house, but we chalked it up to, it's Florida. The house contracts and expands because it's Florida. It rains, it's cold, it's hot, it's not, it's whatever. And so when we moved to Ohio, I got here first, and when we were up in the bedroom, I get yanked out of the bed while I was sleeping. I get the blankets taken away from me and all that stuff. Well, when he got here, I told him, I said, there's something in this room, it's weird. It's going to pull you out of bed. It's going to do whatnot. No, it never did any of those things to him. It was a male and a female, and the female was jealous. So every time me and him were close, I'd end up with scratches on my arms, down my legs, on my back. It got to the point where I didn't even want to snuggle with my husband because I was getting attacked by a ghost.
So these ghosts got jealous of you having any kind of contact with your husband.
Oh yeah, if we were in that room and I did anything, and right before I got attacked, you'd smell the worst, the most strong perfume you can imagine. It was overpowering. And I was hoping my dad died in 2009 and we have his ashes, and his mom died and we have her ashes. So we were hoping our mom and dad basically here would prevent us from bad spirits, but I'm guessing not, because it just follows us everywhere. My husband was sitting in his chair the other day playing Xbox, and a loaf of bread fell off and nailed him in the head.
So how far did the loaf of bread go? Was he near the
Uh,
loaf of bread, or just
oh
flew
yeah, he's
across the?
about 3 feet away.
Oh,
He's about 3 feet away, and it was on a shelf that he has no contact with, and it just flew over and hit him in the head. The other night he was outside doing, I don't know what he was doing, but he was around the side of the house, and he heard this really loud noise and thought somebody was in the yard. We get up in the morning, and the apple tree that's in our yard snapped 3 feet from the ground and threw itself 15 feet.
15 feet.
15 feet, the actual tree. Now, this tree wasn't dead. We had no wind. It gave apples every season, and it just snapped. The trunk is 3 foot tall, and it just snapped and threw itself across the yard. It was, well, he said 13 feet, I guess. It was 13 feet from the trunk to the bottom of the tree.
So did you guys see anything other than the flying object?
No, we didn't see anything. All we did was hear it when it went, and that's the same thing with the bread. Don't know what happened. He was just sitting there. I was walking through here, I think it was yesterday, and I have all of the hats hung up on the wall. And I'm walking through here, and the ball cap that's hanging right there threw itself into the bathroom. So probably 10 feet away, it just knocked itself off and threw itself in the bathroom. We'll be in bed laying here, and we can watch the hat throw itself in the bathroom.
So this is common that things are flying around your house.
Oh yeah. I mean, we were laying in bed like 2 weeks ago, and I said, "What was that?" And we look up, and the physical hat flew from next to the shelf in our bedroom into the bathroom, 10 feet away.
Oh wow! Now my
So we don't
sister,
know exactly what's happening.
my sister used to tell, has told me. It doesn't happen now that I'm aware of, but an older house that she lived in was haunted, and she personally had seen something grab a hold of the edge of a piece of paper towel off a paper towel roll. Pull the paper towel off, rip off the paper towel,
Right?
and lay it right on top of the counter.
That is
Yeah,
that is crazy.
yeah.
Don't know why it does that. Well, that's why I was saying something followed us. Well, my dad, when he was a kid, they worked in a labor camp. They were fruit pickers, and like I said, they lived in a labor camp. And he was 5, 6 years old, and he went outside to go to the bathroom like little boys do. And there was this little gray, he called it a little gray dude, standing next to him. He'd never
Hmm.
seen it before. He wasn't afraid of it. It just had bigger eyes than him, and it was gray, and it was just standing there with him. Um, like 2 days later, he wakes up. He didn't realize it'd been 2 days. His mom freaked out because he wouldn't wake up for 2 days. But the last thing he remembered was being outside going to the bathroom, and the little alien was standing there with him. And then 2 days later, he wakes up in his bed.
So he was passed out for 2 days, or
Yes, yes, they didn't, and his mother didn't find him in the yard. His mother found him in his bed. So somehow or another, he got from the point where he was outside back into his bed, and then wouldn't wake up for 2 days.
wow.
And they don't know what happened, but our whole life, he dreamed of these places that doesn't exist on Earth. These glass cities with vehicles that are kind of monster powered and things. He would draw pictures of things he's seen, and it was truly out of this world.
So how long has he had more encounters with these aliens or alien?
What? Yeah, well, when he was, I don't know, I guess I was 10 or 11 years old, he was a truck driver, and he drove overnight. He would do the runs during the day in town, but then once a week he'd have to run to Michigan and back. And he was on his way back from Michigan one night, and he was driving like right there in Cincinnati. There's this big hill that when you're coming out of Cincinnati and going down that hill, it's scary in the snow, but going up it is pretty good. And he was going up that hill, and he got the bright, blinding light filled the whole cab of the truck. And the next thing he knows, he's waking up at home. He don't know how he got from Cincinnati in his truck. He don't know if he didn't even know if his truck was back where it's supposed to be. He didn't know how he got home. All he knew is he seen the blinding light and he woke up at home.
Wow. So what happened to his truck? He got blinded in his
Apparently,
truck.
it got back to the shop. Like I said, he got blinding light, and then when he started calling around, the truck was at the shop and his vehicle was in the driveway. But there was absolutely no recollection of it ever happening. Like I said, when he woke up, he was thinking he was driving. He was in Cincinnati. I thought it almost gave him a heart attack when he woke up and realized, hey, no, I'm not in my truck.
That is amazing. Well, there was a fellow that called into my show. I think his name was Levi, perhaps. And this is over at High Point, North Carolina. And he called in twice. And he just had filled up his car and was turning down the road to go, I think he was going home. And then he got flashed by a blue light from the sky. And then he, I think he had some missing time, and then he was like 40, 45 miles down the road. And just, and he woke up still driving. And the odometer said he's 45 miles down the road, but there was no gas off the gas hand.
Really?
Yeah.
That is crazy. Like I said, I don't know what it was, but his whole life. So my dad's theory, well, like I said, he passed in 2009, but everybody has a theory about the afterlife, where you're going to go, what's going to happen. My dad's theory was that little being, when he was a kid, came to him because he was supposed to go home. His theory was our time on earth is punishment. We did something someplace else in the universe that we're being punished for. So we were put here for the term of this lifetime for our punishment. And when we die, we get to go home.
And then where's home, so according to your dad?
He doesn't know where home was. But he said that was his explanation for stillborn babies, crib death, things like that. It was just they didn't do anything to be punished, so they got to go home.
Oh, that's incredible. So, when was the last time you two had any kind of inkling that these aliens were around?
Well, right after he died, it was crazy. I was holding my daughter at his casket, and we were looking down into it. And she looks at me and she goes, "I'm not going to kick him, Mommy. I promise." And she was like 2. And I said, "What do you mean you're not going to kick him?" She said, "Papa said he's going to kick my butt if I kick him." My dad was in the coffin. Well, then we were leaving, and Katie kept saying, "Mommy, he's going to come with us." And I'm like, "Who's going to come with us?" And she kept saying, "The little guy." There was a little guy. And I'm like, "What little guy? There's no kids. There's no people. There's no nothing. What little guy, sis?" And she walks over to this blank airspace and reaches out her hand and holds on to something. And she said, "Him. He's coming with us." I said, "Well, who is he?" She said, "Well, he's got gray skin, Mommy. I don't know what color he is. Is he a black boy or a Mexican boy?" And it's like, "I don't know, sis, but okay, he can come with us." Because how can I say he can't come with us?
So the description of this alien, is it typically like the gray aliens that you see on TV and movies and stuff?
No, not really. It looks more humanoid. It's just got bigger eyes and it's gray. Its skin is shiny and it's just gray. It looks. Dad said it just looked like another little boy, except for it was gray and it had bigger eyes. It wasn't got. It didn't have the oval face or the bald head. It just had bigger eyes and looked like a little boy. But it was gray with no clothes on.
Huh.
Because Dad's theory was actual real aliens, the ones that do exist to cause trouble, populate our world with their semen or whatever to create half human, half alien. That was always his theory, but he told us till the day he died he was going home. He couldn't wait. He was going home when he died. So I hope he made it home, and I hope I get to go there when I go.
Okay. So, any of these encounters have to deal with portals open up or alien spacecraft or anything like that?
Well, yeah, there was one with the spacecraft. I couldn't be probably 10 years old, and we lived in Columbus. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and he woke up in the morning and he would go outside and sit and drink coffee. So I woke up and went to find him. And he was sitting out there and he says, Bose, you need to go back in the house. And I'm like, why, Daddy? Why can't I sit with you? He said, because I'm going to have a visitor in a minute and you can't see him. I said, well, why can't I see him? Is he a bad man? He said, no, he's not bad. Just you can't see him. And about that time, I looked out the window and it was flat. It looked like a frisbee. It was just like a flat piece of sheet metal with a bunch of lights, like a ton of lights.
Oh,
And it was over top of if you looked out our window, I was on the second story. It was over top of all the houses across the street and probably made it to the next block for the end of it. It was probably 5 houses wide and the end of it went to the next street. But it looked like just a flat piece of sheet metal full of lights.
what
And I never
time?
could see anything get out of it, but Dad apparently had his visitor because he came back in 45 minutes later.
What year was this? You know, what, basically year? What time of year?
96 in the spring, probably May. I was getting ready to get out of school, so May.
May of '96. Wasn't that about the time there was a huge UFO sighting? Generally in that area. Um, it was on the old Art Bell
Yeah.
show. You think that might have
Oh,
been
yeah.
it?
It might have been it because I couldn't figure out why no one else would see that. That lit up the whole street like it was the middle of the day. I don't know how people didn't see it. So someone had to have seen it and had to tell somebody.
Wow. Back to
Because then
this
when I went to tell my mom told me I was foolish.
back to this alien. Bansheeba in the chat wants to know: was there the color of the eyes ever mentioned?
He said they were green. They just looked like big green pools. You know, they were bigger. Like it would fit their eyeball fit our entire eye socket, and they were green. They didn't have the white irises. They were just solid green. He said they looked cool. He actually likened it to some of those contact lenses that people get that make them look like they have cat's eyes, except if they did it in green.
Cat's eye, green cat's eyes is what I got out of it.
Yeah, that's how he
Okay.
likened it. Was like the contact lenses that you can buy to make your eyes look really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Most people get them and they're bright yellow, and they're bright yellow with a black center. He said these were big green like that with a black center.
Huh. So how tall were these things? You know, generally what shape, size, how what they were actually
Well,
weight wise and
I
stuff.
I think they came to. I can't think the ones that came were the size of what size you were. When Dad was a kid, it was his size of a 5-year-old. He said when he was 20, my dad went on the carnival when he was 20 years old and worked as a carny, ran a ride. That's when my mom and dad met. She went to the carnival, and when he went, he said he got done one night. He was tearing down the zipper, and he got done one night from tearing it down, and he went to walk back to his truck that he slept in. And on his way there, it was real. He said he seen the real bright light again, and then it was just standing there with him. He said probably 5'6" or so, kind of thin. The fingers weren't really, really long. I mean, it wasn't crazy like you see on TV. It just kind of looked humanoid, just
Mm-hmm.
a little bit thinner with the gray skin.
Okay, was there any kind
And
of
it just walked with him. He said he walked with him and talked with him for about an hour and a half, and then he don't know where it went. He turned his back for a minute and it was gone.
So was this audible talking? Voice to voice, or was it all mental or a mix of both?
Well, actually, he said he was talking out loud, and he said it was like humming. He said it would hum, but he could understand the words it was saying. Like it was humming, like but it was in his ears. It was words. He was talking out loud, but the thing was kind of humming back to him.
And what city or town in Ohio was this taking place at that
That
time?
actually that was at Fourth and DeQuinder in Detroit in 1980.
Oh, so it sounds to me, sounds like you and your family, on your father's side of the family, sounds like that y'all have had some encounters. Now, has your dad come forth with any kind of stories from his youth or earlier than that about some
Well,
paranormal, supernatural?
he wrote a book a long time ago, but when he died, somebody took it, and it was filled with ghost stories that he had seen, encounters with that. I mean, my dad knew so much. It was sitting there listening to him was like listening to the best audible book, because he would tell you of places that he's never been, but he could tell you where they were. He could tell you where he lived, but he's never been there. And it wasn't a dream because he could every day just tell you what it looked like.
Huh. So, did when was the last time he had an encounter before he passed away?
Well, he passed away on, what was it, March 9th of 29 or of 2009. So I'm guessing it was probably, or it was March 6th of 2009. So he probably had it on the 1st, because he called me, I think it was later that day or the next day when he called me, and he was telling me, he said, "You'll never guess who came to see me." And I'm like, "Well, who came to see you?" I'm thinking an aunt, an uncle. He said, "Jasper." I said, "Well, who's Jasper?" He says, "The guy that comes and sees me." I said, "What guy comes and sees you?" He says, "The guy that comes and sees me. He used to he hung out with me when I was a kid. Seen him again." I said, "Oh, you're talking about that little alien dude." He said, "Yeah, his name's Jasper." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Jasper. Oh, wow. But was that his given name, or is that what the alien said his name was?
That's what the alien said his name was. He said that if my dad couldn't pronounce his name, so he gave him a human name.
Close enough. All right. Okay. That is wild. Wow.
It is,
So,
and our whole life we've seen the ghost stories and everything. I didn't know if the ghosts were attracted to him or if we were just lucky enough to see him.
well, okay. Here's my. Well, I want to ask a couple of questions about your father's ghost stories. Is there any one ghost story that kind of sticks out in your head? If I said, "Hey, tell me a story that your dad told you about the ghost encounters."
Well, there actually is one, and I don't understand how it happened, but in Florida they have this thing called Spook Hill. If you go and you put your car and you park your car on it, you can shut off your car and your car will roll backwards up the hill. So Dad thought, it would be great. He was doing all of the urban legends. You go through this graveyard at night, at midnight, you play this song, the lady's going to hang herself from the tree, you're going to get to see it, blah, blah, blah. Or the tree, and there's a house in Lakeland that when you drive by it during the daytime, all the windows are boarded up. And at night, if you drive past it, there's no boards on the window and they're having a party. Well, he was big on the legend thing. Well, one day he decided to try to do them all. Well, when he made it home, he'd never had, no inkling the house was haunted or anything, but he had a basement. Well, he kept hearing his name and it kept calling his name, and he wasn't on the phone, nobody's there. He thought he was dreaming, whatever. Well, he walked to the basement to figure out, what, maybe somebody's stuck in there. He goes down there and there is a man standing there in, like, I don't know, Confederate era clothing. That's the best description I can give you. Northern Yankee suits and pants that go to your knees and things like that. And told him that it was him in a past life,
Huh.
and that he was gonna meet. He was gonna meet. He always, in his past life, he swore that he would make sure a part of himself met him in his next life. So now Dad's goal was, when he died, he needs to go meet himself in his next life. But it was him in his in his previous life. He was a Yankee soldier of all things, but Dad was born in Pontiac, Michigan, so that kind of plays. And he was in the war. He was in the the Civil War. And when he was done, he went back to his family. Well, some of the Confederate soldiers had gotten there first and killed his entire family. So he was on vendetta. But he come to warn Dad in this life not to trust so easily, because trusting them could cost him everything.
Did he know why trusting them cost him everything, or did he just mention it
Well,
as
because he told him, because he had trusted a man before he went to war. It was a young man, probably 17, 18. He didn't sign up to go to the war because in the North, I guess they weren't forced to go to the war like they were in the South.
Mhm.
And he stayed home with the women folk, I guess. And he was from a neighboring home, plantation, whatever. And Dad trusted him because Dad, I guess he was probably 21 when the ghost of him was probably 21. And he trusted him. And when he came back, he was expecting his wife, 2 children. The boy next door would have been 20, 21 by then. He was expecting everything to be well. And it was, that guy was a Southern sympathizer. And he was the one that invited the people to come in and kill his family.
Holy cow! So there was a lot of negative connotation, negative events happening in that 21-year-old shade of himself,
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess.
Oh, yeah. So hopefully Dad was 54 when he died. So hopefully his 54-year-old self, when he meets himself in the future, when he goes to see himself in his next life, hopefully he'll have a few things that are wise to tell him as well.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, here's a little caveat. Maybe I have said something like this on the show, but uh, on my uh, journey to write about my near-death experience, I have nightly dreams. I'm very, very aware I'm awake in the dream. I know I'm having a dream, and last night was the fourth time that I had this type of dream. I met I was talking to my older self in my dream. And
That is very cool.
well, it is and it isn't. I'm like, okay. I remember the first time I had a dream of my older self. He was limping around. He had this long overcoat on. So I had a old
Right?
duster jacket, like the old cowboys would wear that would go all the way down, toward the boots.
Oh,
He had
yeah.
one of those on. And he was limping around. I was like, "Why are you limping around?" So, old injury. You'll find out. And I was like, "All right."
Uh-oh.
And then later on, 7 years ago, almost probably a half of a month ago, 2 weeks ago, I lost my left leg. So that kind of filled those gaps. But last night, I had another dream of him coming and talking to me. So.
Oh my goodness. Did he come with a new message this time when he come talk to you?
We talked about what was going to happen in the future. If I was going to complete my promise to God, what my big thing was, what obstacles did I need to figure out, or circumvent, or kind of avoid. And we had that kind of conversation. Now that I'm sitting here talking about it, as it flashes in front of me, like, holy cow, I had a huge conversation with myself last night. Now, if
You
you're
did.
if you're a psychologist, I don't know what that would be, but I have lucid, very vivid dreams every night for the past. Geez, it's been 10 months now since I started this thing. February 11th of this year, actually. But let's
Right.
get back
Well,
to.
I've met someone else with vivid. I met someone else with vivid dreams, because I have dreams that sometimes I actually have to ask Dennis. I look at him and I go, "Did this happen?" Or I have a dream that he died. Oh my God, I have a dream that he died. So I'll get up. I don't know how long he's been awake, but he's not in bed. I'll get up and I'll go find him, and he's looking at me like, "What?" Da 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 da. And I'm looking at him going, "I'm just glad you're alive, because in my dream you weren't." And it was so real that when I woke up, I didn't know. And it gets me. But I had a reoccurring dream from the time I was probably 5 or 6 years old till the time I was probably 12. My dad's family hated my mother with a passion, hated my mother. And one day we had went to meet them. They were having a softball game, and there's like my dad's family has 9 brothers and sisters, so they were the whole team. And we were going to watch. Well, when we got there, my mom and my dad's sister got in a fight. Me and my brother, just being little, witnessed it. So then that night, and recurring on for all those years, I had a dream that we were at the beach and they came running up and they cut my mom's head off and it was on the ground. And then, but her body cut their heads off. So it was on the ground. So their heads were yelling at each other and their bodies were fighting each other every night until I was 12. I had this dream and I have no idea why.
Of disembodied, disembodied heads and bodies were fighting each other. Nice. Oh wow. No, I don't have that type of dream, but yeah, that's interesting. So, did your dad have these similar dreams too?
He did. He had dreams, and his were very vivid. He'd call me on the phone. Now you got to realize, Dad was in Michigan, and I was still in Florida, so he would call me. We got phones turned on, and this was before free nights and weekends and all of this. So we're on the phone, and we run up $300, $400, $500 phone bills, and we talked every day. Well, he'd call me like 8 o'clock in the morning. Boj, guess what I dreamed about? What'd you dream about, Dad? And he'll tell me this dream, and I go, oh my God, are you sure that didn't really happen? Because he'll be telling me about his health, or he'll be telling me that he met someone, or he'll be telling me something, and I'm like, you sure those things didn't happen? Because it was so vivid that he wasn't sure, so he called me. And you got to figure I'm 1,200 miles away. Calls me to say, hey, did this happen? Oh yeah, well, if you keep hearing me say Boj, okay. When I was a kid, like 2 years old, Gary Coleman was in a cartoon on TV, and his name was DeBoggio. So Dad started calling me DeBoggio. Well, then it got shortened to the Bone. Then it was Bone. Then it was Bone Digger. But then it would just ended up being Boj. So since I've been 5 years old, I've been Boj.
Boj. Yep. Does your husband refer to you as Boj as well?
Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no. Nope. And I got lucky. I was born on my dad's birthday, so he was James Richard, and I'm Jamie Lynn. He was cremated on that. And when he died the day after my oldest son's birthday, and he was cremated on my husband's birthday.
Wow. That has to be some sort of significance there. Have you dreamt of your father since his passing?
I do, and it's crazy because my grandpa died in 2006, and my dad and my grandpa were best friends. So when I dream of my dad, I am walking into a bar, and I open up. When I start the dream, I wake up, or I wake up it's like I'm asleep, but I wake up at home, and it's like, oh, I got to go tell Dad something. So I get up, get in my car, I drive, I go, and I open up this bar door. My dad's sitting at the corner of the bar. My grandpa's sitting right next to him. My dad's having a bush beer. My grandpa's having a natural light beer, and Dad's going, Boj, you're not supposed to be here yet, but you can come in and party for right now, but you still got to go back. I'm like, Dad, do I really got to go back? Yep. So when they removed my lung, and it took a 6-hour surgery, and they had complications. So while I was asleep, I was dreaming of Dad, and I was at the bar with Dad. We're having drinks. We're hanging out. And Dad kept saying, Boj, you got to go. No, I don't. It's not time yet. Boj, you got to go. Dad, really, I don't have to go yet. It's not time yet. Boj, if you don't go right now, you're here permanently. I'm like, what are you talking about? And about that time, I woke up, and I was in my hospital bed and all the pain. And he kept telling me to wake up, because if I wouldn't have woke up then, I wouldn't have woke up ever.
Wow. Now I've had dreams. The one usually when I dream of someone that I know that has passed, I only have about one dream of them only. I've dreamt of my brother Travis probably half a dozen times, and the last time I was with an angel, and my brother was there. He said, "What are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here yet." And look, I'm just visiting. We have a short conversation, and that's it. And those types of dreams. I have a lot of dreams. I wake up and like, I don't want to go back to sleep because I just didn't want to deal with hell topics or anything like that. But those dreams, you wake up and like, wow, that was a cool dream.
Well, that's what I do when I'm dreaming about my dad and things like that. I don't want to wake up because if I wake up, I'm not there. And it was so cool. Right after my grandpa died, he died in Florida. He lived around the corner from us. He died in Florida. They shipped him to Ohio for his funeral. So we were there. I was standing at me and my brother were at his apartment holding onto the gurney as they slid his body bag onto it. We drove from Florida all the way to Ohio for his funeral. So we're done with his funeral. It's graveside. It's everything. We're walking down the hill, and I only had two of my children at the time, and my son Zach. He says, "Mama, wait a minute," and we're going to get in the van. I said, "Why?" He said, "Because he's got to catch up." And I said, "Who's got to catch up?" And he says, "Pat Pat." I said, "Well, who's Pat Pat?" He says, "Pat Pat, here he comes." And I'm sitting there going, "No, honey, your Pat Pat's in the coffin." He says, "No, Mommy, here he comes." And he just grabbed his hand. It looked like he had a hold of like a finger, and he just took his little butt to the van and climbed up in his car seat. And then 2 minutes later, he goes, "Okay, Mommy, you can close the door." He made it in.
Wow. That's when kids do that, it's one of those you take notice of. Like, okay, well, I can't see them, but they're obviously interacting with something, or they say something they shouldn't have knowledge of.
Well, that was the same thing with my daughter and the kicking of my dad. Standing right at his cross and looking at him, and she looks dead at me and she says, "I'm not going to kick you, Mama, I promise." And I said, "What are you talking about, Katie? You're not going to kick anything." She said, "Papa said he's going to kick my butt if I kick him." I said, "Where's your papa, Katie?" She said, "Standing right there." It's like, okay, no, Katie, we're not going to kick your papa.
Okie dokie. So, how many children has seen your father?
All my kids seen my dad. Katie was 9 months old. No, Katie was 9 months old the last time she seen him, but she was 2 when he died. And all of them, well, my oldest son is John Michael after my grandfather. I named him after him. I would have named any of my kids James Richard, but my brother's name's James Richard. So I just named my third son Matthew James. I have 3 boys and a girl. So he was so proud. Michael was well, I'll tell you what, he watched Michael be born. He was the first person to hold Michael as soon as he was born. The umbilical cord got cut, and the doctor handed my dad the baby.
Oh, wow. So all your children loved your dad to death, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, they love my dad. And now Dennis has 5 children of his own. And so I became a stepmama. His oldest child is 32 and I'm only 42. So it's like when I say that's my son, then they're looking at me like, yeah, right. And but my oldest, it will be 25 this year. And between his 5 and my 4, we have them all, and they have some of the craziest things together. And when my kids come to me and say, "Mommy, I dreamed of this man," and it's like, okay, well, that man was your grandpa. It's okay.
You just made me feel old because I just had to sit back and think, okay, how old is my oldest niece? I think she just turned 32 or 33, and I can remember
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was like, wow. I never, God never blessed me with any children or anything, but I use my sister's children as that kind of milestone. And
hey, you want
amazing.
some? They're free today.
No, that's all right.
No, my oldest, I had him early. I got pregnant at 15, had him at 16. He was my dad's world. I've got 1,000 pictures of him. And then at 19, I had my second son. At 23, I had my third one, and then I had my tubes tied after my second one or my third one at 23. And 3 months later, I was pregnant with my daughter.
Yeah, they say that it's not permanent. Well, it can be permanent, but it can't be permanent, and it's not exactly 100% effective with tubes tied.
Oh yeah, well they said they grew back. Well, it was crazy. I went after Katie 3 months after she was born. I had my tubes cut, tied, and tucked in. There was no way on earth I was getting pregnant again. And 4 years ago, or no, it was 7. 7 years ago, I got pregnant. It
Holy
was an
cow.
ectopic pregnancy. I couldn't have him, but I would have given anything. It was a little boy, and I would have given anything to have him. So he's probably living up there with my dad. My dad's spoiling the grandbaby until I get there.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Yep, probably. So what I dream of him too.
Hmm. So, is your current residence, is it haunted, or do you have paranormal, supernatural? You said your husband was playing Xbox and something flew off the
Right.
shelf.
Well,
So,
yeah, this is where the we live. Well, we put everybody together. My mom got real sick, and she has a brain disorder, so we're with her. So it's me, my husband, all four of the kids, and my mom. But we did something cool when I got cancer. I always wanted a tiny house. So my husband built me a tiny house in the backyard because the kids needed all the bedrooms. So our bedroom is in the tiny house in the backyard.
oh, that's cool.
So we have a little piece. Because, well, my youngest one, she's 17. She'll be 18 in August. So it's like, I don't have to babysit them, but they spend more time down here than anything. It's just, there wasn't room up there. So we put us a room in the yard. Full power, full water, full showering, full everything. It was a deluxe shed building. It looks like it had a little wooden porch, railings, the whole nine. It's adorable. And Dennis built it. He put the wall in the middle. We have the TV hung on the wall. We got another building, another shed. It was a 8 by 12, and he attached it to our 12 by 24, and that's our bathroom building.
Hmm.
Because we figure if we ever decide that we want to move, the people that we bought these from will move them for us. So if we go buy a piece of land, we can pick up our house and take it with us.
Oh, that's not too bad of an idea. There you go. I kind of
So,
like that.
and even the bathroom. Well, yeah, he was going to build just the bathroom. I know, build it on the ground, the whole nine, build it as high as this. But I told him that one day I said, well, he was having a hard time. The kids were on his nerves. So, well, they are. What kids don't bucket stepdad? His kids bucket me so bad. Three of them don't go. I don't even see her as mommy. But they were bucking with him, and he was just, he couldn't take it no more. And that's how we ended up out here. I had to choose, do I want to deal with my quote unquote idiot children, or do I want to keep my husband because my idiot children are going to get a life, move out, and move on, and I'm going to be all alone without the one that I love the most because they won't stop, coming at him.
Hmm.
So we did that, and that's what we said. No matter what happens, then we can just pick this up and move it, and no harm, no foul.
Well, that's a cool option for sure. Um, did
But
the
it's
play?
like I said, the haunted. It was up there in the house, and that's where the man and woman was. A man died up there. He committed
Oh,
suicide in the first bedroom. When we came to Ohio, we got here from Florida. The front bedroom had been caught on fire. The house was, oh my God, it was insane. People had died upstairs, the whole nine yards. So when we finally cleaned up the house and got everything cleaned out and cleaned up the burnt room, doors kept opening themselves, water kept turning itself on, cabinets would open and shut, refrigerator liked to stay open on its own. So finally we thought, hey, they're gone. We didn't have any disturbance or anything for the longest time. Well, then it started again in the bedroom. Well, me and Dennis and the kids, we moved to Columbus from here. So my oldest son took the bedroom. And since then, the blankets have been pulled off of him. He has to tuck the blankets into the bottom of his bed so that he can keep his blankets at night. So now
oh
us
wow.
down here, like I said, well, with the cancer, I take a lot of meds, and I'm just praying that the ghosts don't decide to be funny and knock over all the bottles. But
Oh
they
yeah,
throw
especially
things at
the.
him and hats and do the cat. It's funny. We have a cat, and this cat loves Dennis, but you'll see him at night. You'll look at him, and he's staring at the corner of the wall. And when you look at him, he's hissing at the wall, and you're like, I don't want to know what he's looking at.
Oh yeah, my old cat when I was married 20 plus years ago was a Siamese, and we lived in this trailer, and we moved this trailer onto this piece of land that was over an old house site. And it was tore down, and it was haunted.
Right?
And I saw a ghost with a green baseball cap on, tractor and trailer.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I saw it sticking his head through the back door, looking around. And I was working nights during that that time frame in my life. And we had this big wraparound couch, and I fell asleep on one end, and my ex-wife was on the other end. And I heard something on the back porch. And I looked back to the back door, and this head was just looking around back and forth with this big green baseball cap. I jumped up and said, "Who the F are you?" Screamed and just scared the living crap out of my ex and the ex-wife and the cat. But that cat,
Oh, wow.
at the back door was the master bedroom, and that cat, something happened to that cat right there at that back door in that master bedroom. Every time it would not come into the master bedroom with us, its tail would get like the size of the baseball bat. And
Right.
so it finally changed its mind and whatever passed. But I sat down after I went outside and looked around and come back in, and my ex-wife said, "Yeah, I've seen that thing many times." I'm like, "Why haven't you told me about this?" He said, "Yeah, sometimes the first two times I thought you came home early in the middle of the night." And I was like, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, I was standing at the back door."
Oh, wow. That is crazy.
and,
Well,
and
that's
she was
well,
so calm when she told me this, even though I was, my heart rate was probably in the 150 range or whatever, excited and adrenaline rushing, and you just calmed me out. I've seen that thing twice.
wow. Bet it scared the devil out of her the first time she seen it, though.
I I would dare say, but she was just calm, cool, and collected. I was like, "Holy cow, sweetie, what in the world is wrong with you?" But yeah,
Wow.
that will. Every place I have lived has been haunted. But yeah, that was just the strangest thing, and you kind of wonder. We bought that Norse single wide trailer, brand new, and never thought that it would be haunted, but the actual land was haunted by the fellow that lived there, and the house was raised down when we moved the trailer on that property. So interesting to say the least.
It is
Um,
very interesting.
do you think that the house that you were in was it haunted before you walked through the door, or did these things kind of followed you there?
Well, the big house, I think, was haunted when we first came to Ohio because it was crazy. My mom, one of her friends that she'd had my whole life, it was like my stepdad. He had this house, and I was in Florida, and well, I was in North Carolina because Dennis was otherwise occupied, and so I was in North Carolina, and I called one day, and Mom had come and visited him, and he was right there, and she put me on speaker, and she said, "Guess where I'm at?" I'm like, "I don't know." She said, "I'm at Jim's." I said, "Well, tell him I said hi." And of course, Jim, being Jim, yells hi, and he said, "Mom said something about the kids," and I said, "Well, yeah," and Jim goes, "Well, why don't you come up here?" I said, "Are you really inviting me and the kids to come live there?" "Yeah, why don't you come up here? I'm tired of being alone. You guys can have this big old house." So loaded up the kids, brought them here, and then me and Michael went back to Florida and got stuff. But we came here, and we've been here ever since. But he invited me and Dennis and four children here to come and stay. And then it was crazy because Dennis, it's so stupid, the stupidest thing I've ever heard. So Dennis used to live in North Carolina with his ex-wife, and when he was there, he got a DUI. They put him on probation. He did everything you got to do, all the classes, all the money, all the.
Mhm.
Well, he had to go to Florida for a wedding. So while he was in Florida, when you get off probation, you're supposed to go see the magistrate in North Carolina to get off probation. He was in Florida for a wedding. Instead of his probation officer saying, "You're good," like most would, she nailed him for it. Well, he didn't know it. Every time he got in trouble in Florida or the cops got called, they said, "You got a warrant in North Carolina." He goes, "Okay." And they go, "But they don't want you." Okay. Well, here we go. Me and Dennis been together since 2009, 2010, and we go to North Carolina in 2015, and we think we're going to go work and move the kids there. Yay, this is great. So we get there and we're doing great. Well, we're doing this job for this guy, and this guy decides that, Number one, he's not going to pay us. And number two, he's going to want to withhold our tools and do a lot of things. So him and Dennis get into it. So the dude goes and calls the cops on Dennis. When the cops show up, we've always heard that he had a warrant in North Carolina, but they didn't want him. So we're thinking it's nothing. It's easy. They show up and they asked him, was it him? And he said, yeah. They said, you have 6 warrants for your arrest. We're like, what? What are you talking about? He said, don't worry about it. I'll be out tomorrow, baby. Well, you got to figure, when we came to North Carolina, we were sleeping in a tent in the campground. It was me, him, and my oldest son. We're in a tent and our dog in a campground. I will tell you, that's my Bigfoot story. We were in the tent in the campground. Dennis had gone to jail. Well, before Dennis went to jail, me and him were at work, and my oldest son was in the tent with the dog, and something came up by the tent, and the dog went nuts, and Michael thought it was a bear. So he was all freaked out. So when we got there, it was a bear. It was a bear. Well, the other people in there kept telling us it wasn't a bear. It didn't look like a bear. Didn't know what it was, but it wasn't a bear. So then when Dennis went to jail, me and Michael's in the tent, and it's probably 9 o'clock at night. The lights of the campground are barely up and it's shining. And here comes something out of I don't know what it was, but it was, we were in the Pisgah National Forest, and we were in this tent, and all we hear is slapping sounds, like their hands slapping mud. And we kept hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. Couldn't figure out what it was. Well, it got all the way up to the tent, and it touched the side of it like it was going to grab it, but it just ran its fingers down the edge. Couldn't figure out what it was. We stayed in the tent because, of course, we're terrified.
All
we
right.
come out. There are footprints that's probably a size 13 or 14 next to the tent. And it was insane because it's like, what is going on? So we asked the people in the park, and they're like, oh, yeah, that happens all the time. Why do you think we live in travel trailers? And I'm like, really? Thank goodness we weren't there for very much longer. But what I was telling you is, so Dennis goes to jail thinking he's going to get out. Well, they screwed him over and busted him and made him do the limit of his probation, which was a year. So they put him in prison in North Carolina for violation of probation that he did for a year. And thankfully, they knocked it down to 6 months. So when me and the kids came to Ohio, he was still in North Carolina finishing his time. He got out Christmas Eve.
Oh, wow. And all
So
for
we got
missing
here-
missing the last
Yep.
kind of superficial visit, saying, hey,
Oh, yeah.
everything's cool.
Yeah, and now it's still terrible because the probation officer doesn't work there anymore. The probation office closed, so they don't have proof of him finishing his probation. So now he goes to get a driver's license in the state of Ohio, and they say, nope, North Carolina's got a hold on it. They want him to go to jail for 4 months because when he got out of prison, they took him to jail, and I had to go bond him out of jail. So now they want to put him in jail for 4 months for violation of the probation that he went to prison for. So no more North Carolina for him. And so no driver's license.
So
they won't lift the hold.
So he can't get a driver's license currently because of not finishing a jail sentence or probation?
Well, that's the thing. He finished the probation in North Carolina and went to the wedding in Florida. He was supposed to see her. Well, he talked to her. She said it was fine. In North Carolina, he went to Florida, went to wedding, didn't go back to North Carolina. They went up there to get their stuff, and they moved back to Florida. He was off probation. He was done. And then when we went back, found out, nope, because he didn't see her, they gave him the full amount of his probation. Well, then another county had the same charge that was supposed to run in his violation of probation, and they didn't do it. So he was taken from prison after doing 6 months in a prison camp. He was taken from prison to jail in McDowell County, and I had to go bond him out of jail. And now they want to put him in jail for 4 months for violation of the probation that he was in prison for.
How does that doesn't even make sense?
It doesn't, and he tries to get a driver's license, and there's not even a fine. They said until he does that 4 months, no driver's license in North Carolina. Okay, so since North Carolina has a hold, Florida put a hold on it. Okay, so he goes to the DMV in Ohio, and he's thinking, you know what, we're going to fix this up. And get there, and they just hand him a sheet of paper and says, you got to call, you got to call, you got to call, you got to call. So no driver's license for Dennis.
Daggum. Can't even get. Does he have like a photo ID or anything like that?
He does have an ID. That's the
Oh.
best we could do. That's the only thing we could do is get the ID. And that was the crazy part because when I got cancer, he was supposed to be driving me and we couldn't do it. So it was kind of, he drove me and we were hoping he didn't get caught kind of deal. But that was the whole thing with North Carolina. Well, that's what I was going to tell you. We were talking about going to Michigan. He's never been. And we went, and my dad had a daughter. She was 10 months older than me, and I've never met her my whole life. And about 9 months ago, out of the clear blue sky, she messages me on Facebook. She found me. She didn't even know I existed, but I knew she did. So we met for the first time, and she's 41, or she's 43, and I'm 42.
Now, wait. This is a sister? Or
Oh yeah, when my mom had me, we found out that he had a 10-month-old daughter that he claimed, but he never did nothing with her. I mean, like, we heard about her when we were kids, and that was the end of it. And nothing happened. And then all of a sudden, like I said, I was sitting here one day and I get a text message on Facebook saying, "Hi, I think I'm your sister. My dad is this person, da 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 da." And it's like, oh my God. So when she was coming, she lives in Massachusetts. So
Mhm.
she was going to Michigan with her mother. They're from Michigan for a vacation. So we took vacation from here and went to Michigan to go meet her.
Wow.
That was crazy. And then we thought we were going to spend the whole weekend with her and go do all these cool things. And we got to spend 3 hours with her. So we ran out of time to do our cool things because I was going to take him to the haunted house. When I was a kid, I lived in Dowagiac, Michigan. So this is probably 92, 93. And we, when we moved in the basement, you check out the house where it had a cellar where you open the doors from the outside. So me and Dad, we're going to go investigate. We go down the stairs. There is a cauldron, probably, I don't know. If you stretch your arms around and touch your tips, then if you touch your fingers, then it was about that big and it was sitting in the corner. Well, there was this board on the wall and it was this big train set. It was all the track on the board. It was cool. So Dad gets it down. We're taking it upstairs. This is sweet. We're going to play with it. When he takes it down, there is a pentagram on the wall, the length of the wall. So Dad calls the landlord and he says, "Okay, what's going on with this pentagram?" The landlord says, "We've painted over it 6 times and it's come back every single time."
What
So
color was
Dad
the
put the train thing back on.
what color
The
was the
pentagram was
pentagram?
purple.
And it just bled through the paint.
It just bled through the paint every single time. They don't know if they added something to the paint or what it was, but it was that deep, deep purple, like a pool of blood would be in the middle. That deep, deep reddish purple.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't even know. I mean, they even said, hey, for all they know, it was written in blood because, well, you figure there's jars down there that came from the 1800s. There's a witch's cauldron in the corner, and there is a deep purple pentagram on the wall. This is going to be bad.
A
Well,
witch's
come to find out. Go
Oh
ahead.
wow! A witch's cauldron in the corner and a pentagram in
Yep.
deep, deep purple. Okay.
On the wall, yes. So Dad put the train board back over top of the pentagram, told me and my brother we can't play down there. Well, my mom went down there one day and there's all these jars down there, like gallon jars from moonshine. And but she took one and she took it to the antique store. She just wanted to know. The jars were from the 1800s. Apparently, there used to be another dwelling on top of that basement, and it burnt down and it killed a 10-year-old and a 15-year-old kids in the fire. And they found their bodies in the basement when they cleared the debris and could get in the basement. That's where they found the bodies, was in the basement.
Mm.
So we don't know if the kids were trying to get out the cellar doors. We don't know what happened. All we know is the building on top of the basement caught fire and they died in there. So we're standing in there one day and we're standing in the living room. I mean, there's no windows open, there's no doors open, and this breeze runs through there, blows up the curtains, blows up your clothes, the whole nine. I'm looking back and forth like, where did that come from? Dad goes, "That's probably that little boy running past you." I'm like, "Shut up, don't want to hear it." Well, then when the winter came, it was too cold upstairs for us to go upstairs because there's no heat in this house. So me and my brother had to sleep in the utility room, and Mom ran the dryer at night to keep us warm. Well, we weren't allowed upstairs. Well, off my bedroom was an attic room that was supposed to be my brother's room, and we went in there all the time. And we used to make like stage plays to that song "Legend of the Woolly Swamp" by Charlie Daniels, and had so much fun. Well, then at night we had to go back downstairs. Well, when spring came, I bugged my mom, please, 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 please let us go sleep up there. While my brother slept on my floor, he slept on my floor all the way until my third son was 2 years old. And he was sleeping on the floor, and the attic door comes open. Okay, so I run over there as fast as I can, and I close the door, and I jump in bed and put a blanket over my head. And the door comes open. And I sit up and I say, close the damn door. About that time that door slams where it shakes the wall, and here's my mom yelling upstairs, Jamie Lynn, quit banging the doors. I didn't do it. So I'm laying there and it come open again, and I just sat up and looked at it, and it closed itself real gently. So then I'm sitting in my bed and my blanket gets gone. Okay, give me my blanket back. I grab my blanket, then my blanket gets gone, but they leave me the sheet. My blanket ends up in the corner, and it looks like a little pallet where somebody was sleeping. Okay, this gets weirder by the minute. So we go downstairs. Well, when I come back upstairs, at the very top of the stairs, there is a window. So I'm walking back upstairs real quick. I went and got me a drink of water. I'm coming back upstairs, and all you see is 10 little fingers on the windowsill, on the outside of the windowsill, 10 little fingers. And it's like, oh my God, what? And I stuck my head out the window, and here hangs a little boy by his fingertips on the windowsill. It scared the ever-loving crap out of me. I took off down them stairs screaming, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. And she goes, what? And I said, that little boy's upstairs. No, he's not. Well, there was a balcony on the house, and it come off my mom's room, but you could get to it if you climbed out my sister's window. Well, we're sitting there, and you hear the window go up, and you hear footsteps on the porch. Well, we're not allowed on the porch, and Mom's downstairs, so who's on the porch? So go in my sister's room and look out the window. There's nothing there. So we close the window. About that time, we hear it again. There's nothing out there. And then we're sitting there, and when I looked out the window, somebody grabbed Mom's door from, it was locked. It was locked. I swear it was locked. Grabs it and blows it open, and then slams it as hard as they can, slams the window, and it stops. So it's like, okay, they were having a party. They opened the window, opened the door, closed the window, went on their way.
Holy smokes. So
it was insane.
Let's go back to the window and the 10 fingers. Did you actually see the 10 fingers or the little boy hanging from this?
I did. Like I said, I come up the stairs, and you're not thinking about anything being right there. There's a window at the top of the stairs. There's no trellis, no drain, no pipe, no nothing. It's the side of the house. So you're coming upstairs, and all you see is these little tiny white fingers. And you're like, you're seeing them, and they're probably the knuckles. You know how you hold on to something.
Right.
And I'm looking at it, I see, and I'm looking. So I just stuck my head out the window and looked down, and there he hung. And it's like, well, I'd never seen him before. He was an adorable little boy, brown-headed, in a little blue outfit. He was cute as can be. So when I went to school, I could go to the public library. I went to the public library, and I used the microfiche or whatever to look at the old-time newspapers. And the picture in the paper of that little boy was the little boy that was hanging out the window.
Now, when was this article with the boy?
The article would have been, and I think the article was from 79, and I seen him in 92.
And this was one of the kids that died in the basement from the fire?
Yes. Yes, and then I had never thought about the other one. It was a little girl. Never thought about her. Well, it was wintertime, and we had it was wintertime when we were going sledding down the little hill. We were prohibited to go in the barn or to the pond because there was a little creek that turned into a pond in the backyard. Well, one day my brother went in the house, and I was bored. There's about 3 foot of snow on the ground, so I'm going to go down here, and I'm going to see if the lake is frozen. I'm going to pretend like I'm ice skating. Thank God I didn't do it, because the damn thing is big and I would have drowned. But I make it to the edge of the lake, and the little boy's standing there with the little girl, and he's saying, "Come on." And I'm like, "No, that's okay." And he said, "Come on." I said, "No, that's okay." He said, "Well, you're going to miss out." And I'm okay. And him and her walk into the water. And if you look down, it looked like there was a skeleton in the bottom of the lake because the water's crystal clear. And I'm looking down and it looks like bones or sticks or something stuck in the bottom. And I'm like, I'm not getting in there. So I ran home. Well, I didn't see him again for a while until I decided to go play in the barn. I went in the barn. We'd been there 3 years, never went in the barn. So I climb up the ladder for the loft, and there's nothing up there. So I'm sitting there for a minute. I go to crawl down, and all of this hay that's been up there all these years comes flying down on me, and I'm going, I didn't do that. And then you see him and her peek their head over the edge of the thing, and they say, "You want to come play in the hay with us?" And it's like, "No, I have to go in the house now." If I would have played with them kids every time they wanted me to, I'd have been in some serious trouble.
Well, okay, so these kids, let me get this straight. These kids are the two that died in the basement from this
Died
fire.
in, yes, died in the fire.
And
And
okay,
it was the craziest thing because I even, like I said, I had seen him in the newspaper, but she wasn't in the picture. So when I got a chance to go back to the library, I went back researching, and come to find out, she drowned, and they found her body in the basement. So that's why they were leading me into the water. Well, after we moved out, we moved back to Ohio. Well, my cousin and everything, they live in Dowagiac. So I got all the news. And one day my cousin calls and she says, "Guess what?" I said, "What?" She said, "The cops were out there at your old house." I said, "Oh, for what?" She said, "Somebody said there was a skeleton in the pond." I said, "Yeah, it looked like one when I was there." She said they drained the pond and there were three stuck underneath a log in there.
3. So were they
Three
all?
skeletons stuck in the bottom of the pond, and there was a big, huge, I'm talking huge log laying on them.
Holy smokes! Were they
Like
all
they
adult
were killed and just
skeletons?
weighted down.
Yeah,
No,
all
they were,
adults.
no, they could, I mean, the smallest one was probably 5 foot tall. I don't know who they are to this day. I've tried to figure it out. They didn't say if they'd been there 10 years, 20 years, 2 years. They never told us what it was because they said it was foul play and the case was open. But I would have loved to known how long them skeletons were actually in there because that could have explained so many things that happened at that house. Dad was trying to hang Christmas lights, and he had told me, he said, "Throw me the staple gun," and I said, "I can't do it. I'm gonna throw it through the window." And he said, "No, throw it to me." Well, of course, I threw it through the window. So I go inside to pick it up, and there's no staple gun. No, none, no staple gun anywhere. Now
All
I threw
right.
it through the window, so it should be right there on the floor. I go looking for it, can't find it, can't find it. So then I go outside. I'm thinking they're playing a joke on me. "Dad, did you go in there and take it?" How did he get off the roof to go take it? Couldn't find it, couldn't find it. So then I'm standing there, I'm going, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. And there was bushes around the front of the house, and I go and I walk up and look, and it's been put in the bush right in front of me. And I'm like, how in the hell did that get there? I threw it through the window.
And it wound up in the bushes.
Yeah, it was in the bush right next to the house. So how it got there, I have no idea because I watched it go through the window. I went and searched in that room for the window. I
Did it
mean,
break
I don't
the?
understand.
Was the window open, or did you break the window?
No,
How?
it was December. The windows were closed, and I threw it through the window. So I threw it through the top window. You know how the window raises up to the other top window? I
Mm-hmm.
threw it through the top of the top window, so it should have been in the room. There was no way it could have gotten in the bushes. And then where Dad goes, "You just didn't throw it through the window." I said, "Dad, I watched it go through the window." "Well, you couldn't have." I said, "Dad, it did." He said, "Well, then you better tell that boy to quit playing mean tricks on you." And it's like, "Dad, you tell him."
Oh, so how many times when you were there at this house with the pond and and these ghost kids? How many times did you see these ghost kids?
Probably about 12 times because this was before phones and internet and this, that, and the other. So I was always outside, and there was a Dodge van sitting out there. And I would get in there and I'd play like I was driving somewhere or whatever. I had a thing that I pretended was a typewriter. Well, I was sitting in there one day. and I'm in there all by myself because my brother was a loser. I mean, well, he was, and he just never wanted to play. So I'm sitting in there by myself playing one day, and the back door of the van opens up. So I turn around and I say, "Hey, Bubba." And when I went to turn around, there was nobody there. And then I hear giggling, and I'm like, "Well, what?" And then all of a sudden, the little boy peeks his head around the corner, and he says, "Got you. You got
Oh
me
my
what?
God.
I scared you." And it's like, "Oh my God, yeah, you scared me. Number one, you opened the door. Number two, you're a ghost."
So, what did this kid look like? This ghost kid and this ghost little girl.
He's probably, I don't know, maybe 4'2". Little, it looked like his mama had put a bowl on his head and cut his hair, but it was like sandy brown. He was a little white kid. He was wearing a blue jumper. It was short sleeve. The shirt was light blue, and the jumper was dark blue, like a pair of Oshkosh Bagob's bibs.
So it
And little shoes that had trains on them.
Wasn't Amish kid. So
no, like I said, there had been another house there, and it had burnt down. And it's like, well, and when they found the bodies, they were in the basement. Well, then why did they build another house over top of the basement? Why didn't they just start over fresh?
Yeah, fill the basement in and yeah,
I know, but no fresh start. That was insane. And like I said, and in the barn, there was all of these weird metal things. Like, I can liken it. Have you ever seen that commercial where they're stupid and it's for the haunted movie, and she goes, "Why can't we get in the running car?" And all of the metal things are hanging from the ceiling.
Oh my God.
Yeah, there's all this things hanging there, and I would go in there and I'm sneaking around and I'm playing because I'm 10, 11 years old, and this stuff starts falling, and it's like a curved, like regular handsaw, and the blade falls. Okay, well, I must have bumped it. And then this piece of sheet metal against the wall, it falls, and it's like, there's no way I bumped it. About 2 minutes later, everything that was on that line drops. I'm taking off running so it don't hit me, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what's going on? And that little girl just looks at me, and it's like, so you were going to drop all that sharp metal stuff on me. And it was funny. It's like, I'm not coming out here no more. Finally, Dad, he come home. He had been working, and I told him all about it. And he said, well, the only thing we can do is move and hope they don't come with us. I'm like, okay, well, I hope they don't come with us.
I hope they stay.
That was the craziest time. Yep, that was the craziest time. And then when we, oh, Dennis said he's so sorry if you can hear him in the background.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah, he's
I can
barely. To me and he's watching you.
I can barely hear him, so it's not.
Oh.
I can. It's sort of like a peanut gallery talk in the background, but I can barely hear him. So.
That's right. Well, it was crazy. We when we moved back to Ohio, they had a hog roast in Michigan, and we had to go back. My dad's family. We went back for the hog roast, and I don't remember whose house we were staying at, whether it was my Uncle Jimmy's or my Aunt Martha's or whatever. And we're up on this hill. And when you go up this hill, at the top of the hill was the house. Halfway down is the cemetery. The bottom is the main road. So Dad told me one night, he said, watch. I said, and it had this big picture window in the house. Now, this is crazy. If people actually did this the whole time they lived there, I couldn't live there. But he says, watch. I said, what do you mean watch? He said, I was down in that cemetery today. I said, okay, I'm not knowing what he means. He says, my aunt's buried down there. You should go with me tomorrow. I said, okay, I'll do that. Not a thing. I'm sitting there and I'm looking out the window with him. He says, watch. It's about to get really bright. Now it's pitch black down this hill. You can't even see the road down there. And all of a sudden, this one little dim light is right there. I said, what did you do? Put a light down there? Nope. He said, watch. Over here on the other side, another light comes up. Well, within the period of probably 3 minutes, this whole place is illuminated like you put street lights all the way through it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, now watch. He said, you don't even need to go watch my aunt. Watch right there. I said, why is that? 2 minutes later, there it went. You seen her or a blob of her, a ghost you can't see, but you see an apparition, and then you see her you see it walking, and then you see 3 or 4 other apparitions. And I looked at Dad. I said, did you know that was going to happen? He said, yeah. He said, every time I come here, this is what I do. I said, why would you sit here and watch this? He said, why wouldn't you? Can you tell me any place else in the world you're going to be able to see that? He said, you want a ghost story? Watch that. He was a big Stephen King fan. So he always told me, the ghost stories. And he said, you want a ghost story, watch that. Make a story up about that. You're
Oh
sitting
my.
here at 10 o'clock at night and you're watching 5 ghosts in a fully illuminated cemetery with no lights.
So in the middle of the night, this cemetery is just.
Yeah, it was 10 o'clock at night. And he said, watch. I said, does that happen every night? He said, well, I don't know. People don't watch it every night. And then it's that age old thing. If you're not watching, does it happen? Because I used to have a theory when I was a kid, and it's dumb. Here's my theory. If you die, like say you're going around the mountain in a car and you crash and you go into the water and nobody knows you're dead, are you really dead? I had a dream one time where I crashed the car going around the mountain, car went in the water. I was fine. I was standing on the side of the road, my car's in the water. I'm standing here. Tow truck driver comes, picks me up, takes me home, the whole 9 yards. I was fine, interacted with my family, the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day, came around that corner, somebody seen the car in the water. They pulled the car up and I disappeared. My body was in that car. So as long as they didn't know I was dead, I got to survive.
This was a dream, right?
It was a dream. But
Okay.
then when I got out, that's what I said. That's my theory. Because it's like if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one around to hear it, doesn't make a sound. Same thing. If you die and no one knows you're dead, are you truly dead?
That's a interesting, strange dream and thought process. That'll mess
It
you
is,
up for
because
a few days trying to figure that out.
it will. Because in reality, sometimes, how do you know? How do you know that somebody that got in a car accident, they don't exist? Because then all of a sudden people disappear. How do you know somebody just didn't find their body? All of these disappearances, sometimes these disappearances, how do you know something didn't happen to them and they're here this whole time, and then when someone discovers their body, they're gone?
That is so interesting. So there were two main ghost kids, and there was like one instance where you were in a graveyard cemetery where there was 5.
Yes, the one in the cemetery, there were 5, and it was illuminated with these lights. Dad calls them ghost lights. I'm not sure exactly, but they came from nowhere, and it just illuminated the entire cemetery. And you could see these apparitions, and it was just like they were up for their midnight stroll. They're just walking along between the stones. You'd see somebody lean down and pat a stone. You'd see something wipe off a stone. I mean, but it looked like they were just up having their daily hanging out. Hi, how you doing? Da 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 da. Like they weren't dead at all. They were just hanging out. And then about 30 minutes later,
So
they
these
go ahead.
ghosts were visiting graves and dusting off graves.
Exactly. Yeah. When they got up, it's like they were visiting. They were hanging out with the other people. It's like it was a whole group of people they know. Well, here in Ohio, my family has a cemetery. Like generations of my family since like the 1700s are buried in this cemetery. And I always wondered, I always wondered if that's what happens in the night there. The family members get up and have conversation and then go back to bed.
Hmm. That is so strange. So you saw these kids at least 12 times. That's all
Yes,
right.
at least
That's all
12
right.
times.
At least 12
You said
times.
that's all right.
That's all right. Hey, I love the interaction. To tell you the truth, it actually adds to the conversation and the believability that hey, this crap's real. So I don't have any problems with you being in the background. Dennis. So.
Well, that's the same thing. They have a well, it's have you ever seen the Shawshank Redemption?
Once.
Where it was filmed is the Mansell Reformatory. It used to be a prison, and it was a functional prison. They put people to death there. The actual electric chair is in a glass case in the gift shop. I don't know why they put it in the gift shop, but they have all these places where you can visit inside this prison. Well, they were getting ready to tear it down. The bulldozers were actually there on the day that a director showed up and said, "Hey, wait, can I film here?" That's the only thing that saved that prison. Well, they say it's very haunted, very, very. Well,
Oh,
us being us, They have
I've
a
got
3-day they have a 3-day rock concert. Go ahead.
I've got a question for Dennis. Okay, now this
Uh-oh.
is this is
Question for Dennis.
this is stemming from my I had a drunk driving thing that I had to go through where I lost my left leg.
Right.
I had to do a 7-day stint. That place was not only haunted, but there was something in that place, something that affected or fed off of all that crazy energy. When Dennis was in, doing his time, did he encounter anything like that?
Turn it around. The mouthpiece is back there. Turn it around. Blame it to you for a second. No, he's trying to talk to you. No, he wants to know about the prison you were in. Here, answer him. Hey.
You want me to restate the question? You want? Yeah.
Hello.
Hey there, buddy. Dennis.
Hey, Shawn. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. That's all right. I appreciate you coming on the phone. What I would like to know, when I did drunk driving. That's how I lost my left leg. But I had to do a 7-day stint after all was said and done in
I did
county
too. Yep. Yes, sir.
county jail.
Yes, sir.
But that place was haunted, and you could feel something move through the population. You could hear them yelling and screaming. Was that similar to what you encountered over there at the spot you were in?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it was. And also, I hate that North Carolina put me where they put me, but yes, when I got my DUI, I did have to do. Actually, I did 10 days, and it was on the weekend, and they made me. I turned myself in on Friday, whatever. But yeah, it was very creepy, very weird. But then that was before I did my eternity in North Carolina. They sent me to prison. I was there with Ray Carew. I seen people get killed. And so, yeah, it was, yeah. But yes, the feeling that you're saying, yes, sir, I did feel that. Yes, sir, I did. And I only thought it was because of me. I give kudos for you asking me that, I guess, because nobody's ever asked me that before.
Yeah, well, it was so strange. It was
really
so
weird
strange.
and really creepy.
Yeah, you could just feel it. The
Yes.
feeling was, to me, the feeling wasn't there 24/7, but you could feel something like it. It was like, hey, I've arrived, and you could hear the entire, you can hear part of the cell blocks start erupting, and then it kind of moves through like a wave in the stadium. You know how they stand up and wave.
Exactly.
Similar to that.
Exactly. You could hear things that wasn't actually really happening, but yes. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, and here's a strange thing. I remember having this out of body experience when I was laying in the bunk there, and
I did the same thing.
It was like laying there. This was about a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years when I did this. After I had my left leg amputated, so I was in a medical lockdown block. So if you needed to be in a spot and had to do that, that was probably the best place in that county spot to do that. But that being said, I could feel my body go, flying through this place, this prison. It was just
exactly the same with me. Exactly the same with me. Yep.
Yeah, and it was just I had one cellmate, and most of the time he was kind and whatever. We had a couple chats here and there, but when whatever this presence popped up, oh, he changed. And the rest of I don't know if he was reacting to the whatever was going on in the prison, and it was just aggravating him, or it was directly affecting him at the same time. And he got to the point.
You know what?
What?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Shawn. Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're 100%. You're you're 100% saying what happened. Yes,
Yeah, majority of the time
completely.
that dude was a
Yeah,
kind guy. He wasn't very on the.
cool. Yep.
Yeah, he wasn't the sharpest uh, fork out of the
Sharpest
drawer.
tool in the shed. Yeah.
Yeah, sharpest tool in the shed. But he was
Yeah.
pleasant to talk to, that kind of stuff. But
Gotcha.
I seen him act
Mhm.
up out of I don't know what the heck got into him. It wasn't toward me or anything. But the guards had to come and calm him down or
Exactly. Yep.
whatever. I'm like, holy cow!
I've seen this. I've seen the same thing happen, and unfortunately, I've seen a couple prison, a couple jail guards. Well, I've seen one pass away before my eyes, and I've seen another one that he got his eyeball kicked out of his head, and I know that officer also passed.
Mm.
It was I I never I never knew what a human eyeball actually looked like. that was that was so
Um,
some of that bull crap that they put on in the movies and stuff, some of that looks real. And well, the eyeball thing, that's kind of real.
that's kind.
Because
Unfortunately, I
with
know.
this the thing attached to it,
Yeah,
what I'm talking.
nerves and
Well,
muscles.
you was in. Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like I said, uh, I I got some things that I really need to talk about one of these days. But I just the thing that I got my wife to call you to tell her what's going on, but she's giving you the layout land, I guess. But we really do we really are we have something going on in this house, and it's not a haunted house because I built this. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
There's no dead bodies under this house or anything like that. I built this, and I think it I think it's all coming from, I don't know. I really don't know. I listen to y'all, and there's a lot of crazy things like the bread the other day. I mean, it wasn't the other day. It was a week ago. That thing is sitting. There's no way we have a cat. There's no way that cat threw a loaf of bread at me. It wasn't a full loaf. It was a partial loaf, but
Right.
there's no way that loaf of bread hit me in the shoulder. She said the head. I heard her, but I'm like, what are you talking about?
Gosh,
So there's
crazy.
yeah.
What? Wait.
But yeah,
Okay.
you're 100% right about when I was there in North Carolina and their facilities. We'll call it facilities.
Well, I
I
did my time in
I don't.
Northeast Tennessee in Sullivan County.
Yeah.
So, but I was just, I've asked a couple other people, and I've had one dude that was a prison guard, and I asked him about that, and he's like, "Yeah, that stuff's real." So I kind of
Yes.
like, well, I'll just, hey,
You're 100% correct, and so is the jailer. He was 100% correct. Yeah, there's a heavy feeling, and it's yeah,
just
yeah. I
strange.
mean,
When you married Jamie, and she started,
Jamie. Yeah.
whenever she started telling you all these little stories and stuff about what was going on with her dad and her family and these two kids, what was your reaction?
Well, I kind of took it as kind of nonchalant because I'm kind of used to it, I guess. I took it as somebody telling me they caught a big fish. you know.
Right.
And to this day, I still do. I mean, yeah, I mean, because I don't know if she got to tell you the story about when we went to the Mansfield prison. It was a 3-day concert, and we got to tour the most haunted prison in America or some crap. But I decided that because I don't know, there's something weird about me. I I went in one of those turns. I'm like, oh, a bunch of people got killed in here, and all. Stupid me, you know. I said, hey, they ain't nothing. Yep, that was different. I couldn't get out. She had to have the people get me out, and so yeah, you know, I like I say, Shawn, that's something that I'm working up to telling you my stories about that, but like I say, my wife. That's
Whenever
why I
you
said
feel up to it.
my wife has those stories that she's telling you. It's 100% the truth. Those are the same exact stories. It's not written down or anything. Those are the exact same things that she's told me about. Even with the kids with the 10 fingers, because I tried to debunk it and say, well, how come it wouldn't 8? Because who hangs onto a ledge with the thumb? You know what I'm saying? So what I did you catch that?
I caught that, and I thought, well, maybe like that, or heck, I don't know. I kind of passed it, thinking, okay, well, there's more to the story, but I'm glad that you brought that up.
But
bring her back.
She said if you look over the edge, you see his thumbs hanging. I said, oh, okay. Hey, look, I see you on TV.
All right, so 10 fingers.
But
he was hanging like that.
Yeah, I mean, I ain't never met nobody that has 10 fingers. You know,
it was like this, honey.
A thumb. I don't know if you could hear my wife in the back.
Yeah, just I'd love to have her finish a couple more of her stories before we get off the phone here. But yeah,
she will.
Yeah, the prison, jailer thing. That it's just it's a personal kind of a story that I have not talked to anybody that has said no. You're wrong, Shawn.
I would love to. You can call me anytime, or I can call you. We can set it up after your show, and yeah, we can. Me and you can chit chat about it, and because yeah, I got some stories. Like I say, I'm a nervous dude. I don't do any drugs. I don't do nothing. Well, obviously, I drink cold beer. That's it.
Well, I don't do any drugs. I used to drink 7 years ago, but I hadn't touched myself.
I remember you told me about that, but anyways, we have, about my wife and her cancer and all this, and I had called in before, and I think there's something here, something dark, something. It's not her dad, because they're in their urns right here in front of my face. Matter of fact, her dad and my stepmother, who was only a mother to me in my entire life. I have them right here, and I've seen them, but there is something else here. I mean, the anger and the hatred that can happen instantly, like you was saying about the fella in the jail cell.
All right.
Same thing. We could be happy-go-lucky. I love you too, baby. Blah, blah, blah. Kiss, 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 mooshy, mooshy, mooshy. And the next thing is, what the hell? I don't want to cuss on your channel, but I know James does, but I won't. Flip a switch instantly. and it's almost war, and it's scary. It really is terrifying.
Oh wow! Hold on just a second. I got to say happy birthday to Love Cat in the chat. Apparently, today's her birthday. So happy birthday!
Well, tell Love Cat happy birthday, Cat.
There you go, Cat.
If she's listening,
she is listening.
You got it from the man. And my wife Jamie says happy birthday.
Oh yeah, you only get one of those a year, then it migrates to the birthday week, and you kind of milk it for as much as you can in birthday month, and you're done with it. So
exactly.
Oh,
but yeah, I mean, if you're
yeah, I'd love to talk to you off air. I'd love to. I'll get with you. Definitely.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, I'm gonna give you back to my wife, and she'll tell you some more.
All right.
Tell her to tell. Did she tell you about the apple tree?
Yeah, that it threw itself.
Yeah, the apple tree.
I don't know how that. Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but she said it was 13 feet. No, it was 12. I measured it.
Oh, well, yeah, what's 1 foot between lovers?
Hey, you said that, not me.
Hey.
What's 1 foot between lovers?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's crazy. That's what she said.
All right, Shawn. Well,
all right.
I'm going to let you listen to my wife's rest of her stories.
All right. That's cool, man. Appreciate it.
What she's saying is 100% the truth, because she's always told me that since we've been together.
Yeah, oh my.
So I have a question for him.
All right. Well,
all right, brother.
All right. Appreciate you, bud. Thanks, Dennis.
All right, brother. Here she is. If you have any more questions, like I say, before we hang up, I'll get back on the phone with you.
All right.
Appreciate you, my friend.
Appreciate you, bud.
Hello.
Hello. You guys have been a godsend today. I was actually, I don't know why I produced this particular poster, but that I did for the show, but it's actually fitting with the conversation that you and I are having. With
wonderful.
The ghost that's in front of a cold winterized house and whatnot.
Yeah,
that's kind of
weird. Have a question about.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it's very weird, and I never understood why. Now, my brother could randomly hear things or see things, but he never seen them. And I'd say, but they're standing right there. He doesn't see them. So the one day, it was right before we moved this summer, and it was probably 93 because we moved back to Ohio that year, and we were out there, and I said, come on, you got to go to the pond. For what? Come on, you got to go to the pond. You got to see this. You got to tell me if it's really what I see. Is it a stick? Is it a tree? Is it a finger? What is that in the water? And he gets down there and he goes, it's a tree. You're just weird. And I said, are you sure that's a tree? And he's 2 years younger than me. And he's, yeah, I'm sure that's a tree. I'm like, okay. And just as we were walking away from the water, we're walking up the hill, and all you hear is splash. Turn around, and there's this big, huge splash. I mean, like somebody cannonballed into this. And we turned around, and he said, how did that happen? And I'm like, I don't know. You need to ask her. I don't see her. So I turned around and I said, why'd you do that? She looks at me and she goes, because he didn't believe that we were here.
Huh. That's interesting.
But I see your question on TV. Have we had our home blessed or cleansed? No, unfortunately. Like I said, we live in a tiny house. Okay. As dumb as it is, the insurance thought I needed to have one. And I have that, but we have our 2 chairs and our 2 TVs on the wall for our video games. And that's all the space we have. There's like no space. We bump into each other trying to change clothes or walk past or anything. It's like no space. And we never in a million years thought we needed to have our house cleansed. But Dennis is not lying about that anger thing. I will be sitting here. Now, I'm currently sitting in a motorized wheelchair because my chair is behind his chair and I didn't want to sit there. I'm sitting by the door. I'm sitting sideways. I will be sitting here looking at Dennis. He's got I don't know if you've ever seen one. They're all over the place now. It's a red and black gamer chair. Looks like a computer chair, but it's got a pillow and a backrest and all kinds of stuff. And then mine is right behind it, and it's the recliner version of the gamer chair. So he'll be sitting in his chair, and we'll be sitting here having great conversation. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, doesn't matter if I say anything, he is screaming. And I'm talking at the top of his lungs, screaming. And I'm looking at him going, why are you screaming at me? I'm not effing screaming at you. Yes, you are. And then every time he speaks, there's no Dennis anymore. It's screaming every time he talks. And I'm talking, this has been going on for about 3 weeks. There'll be rare times like tonight where he's talking. Love to hear the sound of his voice because I absolutely adore my husband. I'm still as in love with him as I was the day I met him. But it feels like everything in the world has changed. I know he's not cheating on me. He's not talking to someone behind my back. He's not going to the bars and leaving me. If we go out, we go together. Whatever we do it together. His phone sits here with me. There's no secrets. Mine sits here. There's no secrets. He's not doing anything he's not supposed to. Neither am I, but the hatred. And it's not hatred on my part. I will be sitting here doing nothing and he starts screaming and it's, why are you screaming at me? I'm not screaming. And it escalates to the point that he's laying in bed screaming at me, leave me alone, don't touch me. And when I go to touch him, he flips out and jumps up like he's going to punch me in my face. I mean, it's drastic. And no, he's never hit me. But he stops right then and he looks at me and he's like, what in the F is going on? And I mean, he's all out. He went and punched a hole in the drywall right above our bed because he was just and I'm laying in bed barely talking to him. And he was just so angry. He just starts punching this wall for no reason. Well, then the funniest thing about it is he can go off like a flipping rocket. I mean, 0 to 90 in 2 seconds all night long. The minute he goes to sleep, he wakes up the next day, it's all gone. It doesn't exist. You ask him a question, he says it didn't happen. If you say, baby, you said this, I didn't say that. He does not remember that he just screamed at me that the best time he ever has is when I'm sleeping because he can't stand me. He doesn't realize, and then when I say, but you said that, but no, I didn't. It's like his whole body flips to being someone else and it's not him, because when it's him, he's looking at me bewildered like, I didn't do that. I didn't say that. What is going on? One night he was so mad he went to grab a hold of me and he got a hold of my necklace instead. So it's needed repaired. It's been on the dresser. He said he'd repair it. And one morning when he woke up and he's reaching my neck, baby, where's your necklace? I said, you don't remember what happened? No. It's laying on the dresser. So he goes and finds little tools and puts it all together. He doesn't remember it happened. Something is taking a hold of him. I watched it in the house up the hill. Something is taking a hold of him and it's carrying him up. He always says he's got the good and the bad on each shoulder and they're fighting all the time. Well, whatever has gotten a hold of him is a hold of him and I don't know how to break it from him. And I need help if someone can help me because I don't know what to do. I love my husband more than anything. And and it's not his fault. He attracts the darkness, not on purpose. Have I tried banishing in Jesus' name? Actually, I have. And the 1 or 2 times I've done that, he's actually mellowed out a little bit. Because it's like, I'll look at him, I'll even grab the Bible and I'll look at him and I'll say, look. And he's what? Look. And the minute he looks, it's like it all just kind of fades away. It's grabbing a hold of him and not letting go. And then when he goes to sleep, he wakes up tomorrow, it's all gone. And he doesn't know that he said it and he doesn't know that he did it. And then when he finds out that he did it, he's, oh my God, he's so upset. And he's like heartbroken and I hate to see it because I don't know how to fix it. I can't prevent him from going, I hate you now to, oh my God, what did I do 5 minutes later? I don't know how to get the in between.
Wow. Okay, here's something that popped in my head. Have you ever seen a doppelganger or somebody claim that you had a doppelganger?
Yes, I have actually, and it was a claim that they had my doppelganger, but they did that to Dennis. We went to a concert, at Glass City, we were going to see Pop Evil, and we're standing in the building, and he's getting ready to go to the bathroom. He goes in the bathroom, and this guy walks up, and he says, "Who was that with you?" I said, "That was my husband." He said, "Where did he go?" I said, "In the bathroom." So the guy stood there with me. It was so strange. Never seen this dude, a person that looks just like you. And the guy come out of the bathroom, and he looks at him, and he says, "Oh my God." And he called him by another name and gave him this big hug and all this. And Dennis is looking at him like, "Do I know you? Hi, bro. How's it going?" And he's like, "I'm such and such. Don't you remember me? 2 months ago, we went and did this." And Dennis is looking at him like, "No." He goes, "Okay, well," and he said his name. Dennis goes, "No, that's not my name." And he says, "Oh, it has to be. You're playing a joke on me. This ain't funny." Dennis pulled out his ID and said, "No, really, this is my name." He goes, "Oh my God, there is a guy that's identical to you. Tank top and shorts, just like you. Tattoos, just like you." And then he looked at him a little closer and realized the tattoos weren't exactly the same, but he had the same amount of tattoos, same tan, same hair, same everything. He swore to God Dennis was that man. And it was kind of scary, actually.
Well, I have a doppelganger that lived in Kingsport, Tennessee, and
Okay.
I got in trouble with a girlfriend thinking, he even drove the same black Camaro Z28 T-top,
Really?
the whole 9 yards. First time I ever
Holy cow,
heard.
he was you.
Yeah, the first time I heard about it was I used to go to this drive-through to a restaurant called Powell Southern Service. It's a local chain here. After I got off from doing sleep studies, so I would go. It was probably like 7 o'clock in the morning, late, probably about this time of year. I mean, it's still dark, and one of the drive-through attendants, I did a sleep study. And I drove through and did my order and rounded the corner, and there was a lady I knew personally, and she said, "Well, did you forget something?" I was like, "Oh no, I just got off work. How you doing?" Blah blah blah. I said, "You were just here 10 minutes ago." I was like, "No, I just got off work. I just got off work 5 minutes ago and came down here to get a burger, kind of deal." And she said, "My God, whoever it was had your same car, your same, looked like you, sounded like you." All right, whatever. Turns out my ex-wife works with this guy. And I told her, the story. I didn't know anything about this until, or probably a year or two later. Told her the same story, my ex-wife. She said, "Yeah, I know the dude." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Really? Seriously?" Said, "Yeah, he works. I think he's X-ray tech or something. I'm not exactly sure what he did at the hospital she worked at that time." And said, "Yeah, he's got the same car you got, and it looks like you. Right down to your mannerisms, the whole thing." Said, "The first time I saw him, I thought it was you making a visit, officially or whatever at that time." For whatever reason, for work reasons. I didn't work at that hospital she worked at. So, and it was just one of those strange things. And I got in trouble with a ex-girlfriend because of that freaking car. I was a regional sleep lab manager. My secretary would come in and said, "Your girlfriend's on the horn, wants to know where you are." And I said, "Well, did you tell her?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "You're covering for me." I was like, "Oh my God, my doppelganger's out there, making me and getting me in trouble." So,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So that's just the
Well, I did
strangest
that
thing.
one time. I did that one time. I went into a grocery store, and I guess my daughter wasn't born yet, so I had Michael in a cart, Matthew in a car seat, and Zach in the seat of the buggy, which sucks because you can't get groceries. But so you're figuring it out, and I got him in the buggy, and I'm pushing, and here comes this man that I've never seen in my life, and he comes up and he gives me this big old hug, and he calls me Jennifer. And I'm looking at him. I said, "No, sweetheart, my name's Jamie." "No, it's not." "Yes, it is." He said, "It can't be. You're Jennifer, and those are your kids." No, I'm Jamie, and those are my kids." "No way." "Yes way." So he pulls this picture out of his wallet, And it is me with all three of my sons standing there at a beach somewhere. And it's a picture, and it looks like me and my kids, like I took the picture. I said, where did you get that picture?
Wow.
He said, I took it 2 weeks ago. I said, no way. I said, that's got to be a picture that I forgot about going there or something. And you magically got it out of a trash can or something. He says, no, seriously, I took the picture. He said, look at this. And he flips to another picture, and it's him and me in the picture. I said, oh, I don't know you. So where'd that come from? He said, I've had that picture for like 3 years. She's like my best friend. I said, so you thought I was her? He said, yeah, and your kids. And I'm like, oh my God. So then my kids, as little kids, had the doppelgangers too. It was the whole
Wow.
thing. It scared the crap out of me to the point that I didn't know what to do. It's like, I don't know. So there's a person that looks like me with kids like mine, man, that could cause a lot of trouble in someone's life.
Yeah, that's just strange. I honestly,
I don't know why.
I don't know
Right?
why I asked you about
I don't know.
the doppelganger, but it just popped in my head. Ask her about the doppelganger.
Right? Well, that's fine, because I'll tell you what, I don't know why God makes doubles. I don't understand why God makes doubles. But apparently he does. There was a show, and it's a kids show. It's a teenager show called The Vampire Diaries. And in this show, they have the woman, Catherine, and then all of a sudden and she's a vampire, because of course, Vampire Diaries. But a copy of her as a human is on Earth right now, who's 16 years old. So I never thought about a doppelganger, never thought of a copy, until one of my sons was watching the show, and I looked at it, and it's like, you know what? That shit's possible. That there's someone around that looks just like you, that's having a life just like yours. It's not a twin. You don't know them, but you could be twins.
All right. I've seen shows like that.
I never thought about it.
I've seen shows, that actually, now that you talk about it, I saw maybe like some sort of TikTok of people that look exactly the same. They took the DNA test, and they are not related in any shape, form, or fashion, but they look like they're twins.
Oh yeah. And then people that look like celebrities, it's insane. But it was Leonardo DiCaprio. So he did this thing, and it was dumb. Did you see that?
I saw.
You seen that one where it was him, and then there was a picture of another man that looked just like him, and then there was an ancestor of him, and he was living double lives, and it was insane. And when I seen that the first time, I'm like, you know what? I guess that does happen.
Yeah, that's just crazy. It's crazy. So
I have a question for you.
Okay, well, what's your question?
Okay, so when I was probably 14 years old, my mom, being my mom, got her wild hair up her butt there, but she's leaving my dad. Okay, so she loads me and my brother up, and our dog. We had a full-blooded black chow, full-grown. I mean, he was mean. If you mess with him, he was horrible. His name was Casey. Well, she decides, we haven't seen the ocean in years because we're up north. I mean, and we go to Florida, but we haven't seen it in a while. We'll go to the ocean from Ohio. Okay, we take off in this van. So she stops halfway there, and we're in Virginia, and she stops at this campground. Well, this campground is empty, like empty. This is after season, the whole 9 yards. So instead of pulling up to a camping spot, she pulls up to the lake. She sets up the awning. We're sitting there. We're having a great day, whatever. But we kept hearing this howling sound. And it's like, okay, well, there's coyotes in the distance or something, whatever. And then we kept hearing this chainsaw. So I was stuck on, they're going to wait till we go to sleep. They're going to chop us up in little pieces and throw us in the lake. But Mom's like, no. Well, then the howling got closer. And I said, Mom, the coyotes are going to eat us in our sleep. No. So it got closer, and it was loud, but it was a growl howl. It was like the dog would do when it growls, and then the howl come after it. Well, right about the time that happened, our dog went insane. Like, I'd never seen him. Like somebody fed him gunpowder or something. He was off the chain trying to get across that lake to them woods. And Mom goes, there's nothing over there. Well, peeking out of the trees, you could barely see it, but it looked like a set of eyes looking. And I told Mom, I said, something's looking at us. She looked over, nothing. I said, Mom, right there. Nothing. I had a little disposable camera and I took the picture of the eyes when we went after we got home and had it developed, and you could see the eyes. And she swore there was nothing there. Well, then it come out of the woods just a little bit, and it was, I guess it looked like a dog. It had the nose, but its eyes were offset a bunch. They look like maybe if you take your hand and spread your thumb and your first finger apart, the eyes were that distance apart, and they were huge. And it had ears, but it had this really big mane. Would that have been a dogman, or would that have been a really big coyote?
That's hard to tell. Well, a really big coyote, that would probably be what the medium-sized big wolf kind of deal. I don't know.
I'm talking about that. If you judge an animal by the size of its head was probably 18 inches long, with this big fur mane like my chow dog had, the big furry mane that make him look like a lion. But this is in Virginia, in the holler. But the eyes were so offset, and everything I've looked at has pointed me towards a Dogman or something in that genre.
Do you know what was it in Middle Virginia, Northern Virginia, south side of Virginia?
It was probably East Virginia because we were headed towards the ocean from Ohio.
Okay, that sounds like if you know Greg in chat, he's had some dogman encounters, but he's like on the northern edge of Virginia, like middle north, up toward the West Virginia border, and he's talked about these dogmen / he said it sort of looks like really cute foxes. If I remember correctly, he said that if they were behind bars at a zoo, you would think they were cute, and they would stand up. And so they were like between 5 and 6 feet. The one that he saw, 6 feet-ish tall, and said it had really soft-looking, puffy fur, similar to maybe like a cat. The cat, they said it was sort of like a Siamese cat. How the bellies are different color versus the back is. So it looked exactly like that. So it may have been a dogman or this fox creature or whatever Greg was talking about. But I don't know.
I'll tell you a 2-second ghost story. Here's my 2-second ghost story. When Dennis was in prison, they wouldn't let me come see him. They were being stupid. They moved him all around. I mean, he went to like 7 different prisons before they put him at Tyrell, which was right out there by the Outer Banks. I mean, he's like way over there. Well, they transferred him to Dan River. Dan River was like 10 miles from the Virginia line. It was Dan River was a town on the North Carolina side and on the Virginia side. So me and my son set out. They're going to let me see him on, let's see, he got out in December, November. So probably, well, it had to be November 1st or something like that. So we set out to go see him. And we're driving through there. Well, we had to go pee. We needed gas. So there's a sign on the freeway, and it says gas this exit. Okay, now you got to figure we're in Virginia. We're driving down the highway, and the highway says on the side of the highway it has a sign saying area patrolled by the FBI because you're down there by Quantico. And so we're going, and it said gas this way. So we pull off, thinking, okay, so we pull off, and there's no gas at the exit. Okay, it says gas this way, so we follow the road. Well, we followed the road for about 10 minutes. This is the farthest gas station I've ever been to. We get there, and my son will even tell this story to this day. It was a truck stop, but at this truck stop, when you pull in the parking lot, went up, and there were 2 gas pumps, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, picture old-timey gas pumps, the kind where you got to pull it down and wind up the thing and put the pump in the car for it to pump the gas, not the one you squeeze like now, the old-timey ones.
Oh, the pump on the...
So I'm thinking, the really old ones where you got to pull, where you take the pump off, you pull the thing down, and you spin it around and then put it in your car.
Right.
So we're thinking, okay, this is just like a historic truck stop. It's kind of cool. Ain't never seen nothing like this. We're excited. At the exact same time we're at this truck stop now, I had Boost Mobile on my cell phone. As I'm standing there, I'm looking at my phone because I was going to take a picture of this place. And my phone literally said, your account has been removed from this phone. Somehow or another, my Boost Mobile account removed itself from my handset right then. Don't know how
Holy
it did it.
cow.
Nothing. For that part, we ended up having to leave and go to Lowe's and get in their parking lot so I could get Wi-Fi and put my service on a different handset because it just removed itself. But anyways, we're at the truck stop and we get out of the car and Michael, my oldest, he was going to go in and get us a soda. He's going to pay for gas. Well, when you pull in, we're at the gas pump and off to the left, there are two lines of older cars, probably 80s, 90s cars. Yeah, maybe a couple 70s, but generally 80s, 90s. And there's two lines of them, like maybe there's a car repair shop right there. Who knows? But there was not one newer car. Now, this is 2015, so you're figuring newer cars. So my son goes in, and he doesn't come out, and he doesn't come out, and he doesn't come out. So the gas isn't pumping. So finally, I was over it. I went to find him. He's standing in line at this store. Now, this store didn't have one name brand anything. No Pepsi, no Mountain Dew, no beer, no nothing. Everything was off brand. You could get Big K for the soda. You could get, whatever for the beer, but nothing was what it was supposed to be.
All right.
He's standing in line with this fountain drink that's supposed to be Big K because we're thirsty and this is shit. We're standing there and there's a line of 5 people. The guy behind the counter, I promise you, had to be a vampire. He was the palest, most albino person I've ever seen in my whole life, with red lips like he was wearing lipstick. And as the people moved in line, no one made a sound. There, you could have heard a pin drop in the store. There was no sound. No one said thank you. No one said you're welcome. No one held a door. No one nothing. They were all dressed in 80s clothing, like they just left an 80s party.
Huh.
They were all dressed in these clothes in this line. Now, none of these people, no cars at the gas pump, no cars parked in front of the store, all cars parked in the line beside the store. We're the only one. Here's all these people. Where did these people come from? I do not know. This store is literally in the middle of nowhere. No one could have walked to this store. So as he's going through the lines for these people, Michael's going to pay with a debit card. No, he's not. They have no regular register. It's the old-timey register where they push the buttons and the drawer pops open. There's no debit card machine. There was no TVs in there. There was no radio in there. There was nothing. So I went out to the van and I found cash and come back in to pay him. We go to pay him, and the guy sounded like a snake when he said it, and he said he would see us soon. Well, now my phone doesn't work because the plan disconnected from my handset. I have my kid with me in the middle of the night. It's like 11 o'clock at night in the middle of nowhere. And this guy said he's going to see me soon. So I am terrified. Michael jumps in the van. I pump gas real quick. We get out of there. Well, Michael he had Wi-Fi on his little phone device thing. He made a note of where we were. So as we're driving, we go to the Lowe's parking lot. I call Boost. They fix my phone on a different handset and we're good. Michael's looking at the screen of where we were. He wanted to know the name of this place and what it was. When he looked on Google Maps. It showed an empty lot. He looked on the planning thing. It showed an empty lot. He looked at something and it showed a decrepit building that had burnt down. So when we got to Virginia, or to Dan River, because we had to stay on the Virginia side, I visited with Dennis while Michael was in the car all day with my phone. So he's trying to figure out, where this place was. This place didn't exist. Nowhere that you look, nothing you do, you will never find this place. It doesn't exist. And it was off of exit 22 on 77 in Virginia. And this gas station does not exist. It existed in the 1980s. It does not exist now.
Exit 22 in Virginia. What was the town? I gotta look this up.
I don't know. It was off of Highway 77.
Highway 77. Okay.
Yep, and it was exit 22 where we got off, and there was no station. We have searched. Michael has searched. We have looked all over and there is nothing. And it freaked him out. So to this day, Michael tells the story about the ghost gas station. And he will be 25 in March. And he tells the story of the night that we stopped at this gas station that wasn't a station. And they didn't, and it was so strange because you know how you can get a fountain drink and they got 44 ounces, 36 ounces, thing like that.
Yeah. They're big gulp kind of deal. Yeah.
Yeah. The only cups they had were 21-ounce cups. And they were
that's back from the 80s.
Like the old time cups.
Yeah.
You ain't lying. Everything was when we got out, Michael goes, that is the strangest place I've ever been. And I'm telling you, everybody's dressed 80s. You're seeing girls with the fishnet gloves like Madonna used to wear, and guys in black pants that are cuffed above their shoes with white socks. You're seeing all of these things, but there's no cars. Where do the people come from? Michael was so scared. I was so scared till I got back on the highway.
Dang. I was about ready to ask you, said, did you go through a portal or anything like that? What time of night was this, or what time of day was this?
This was 11 o'clock at night. I seen Dennis on November 1st, so it was Halloween. It was Halloween night, if you believe it, at 11 o'clock at night. And when we went through there, he'll still tell you all about it. And he said the guy had to have been a vampire. There's no other way to explain this. I've seen albinos. I have nothing against anyone. I've seen them. This guy had blood red eyes, ruby red lips, and pale white skin, and the whitest blonde hair you will ever see in your whole life. And I was just thinking maybe he's an albino until he hissed at me that he'll see me soon.
Oh, man. So,
I was so scared.
I've known albinos and worked with albinos. I know one when I was a kid. I went to school with a fellow. But they have this crazy, no, I'm not saying crazy, this thing with their eyes that they can't focus and they'll just shake back and forth.
Right.
Did this guy have that with his eyes?
No, he didn't. It was like they were boring into you, like it was a hypnotized thing, because you can't take your eyes off of his eyes. Once you look up and you see them, you could not get your eyes off of him. And I didn't realize it. I was standing in line and I just looked up at the guy at the register, and I'm standing there and Michael's going, "Mommy, mommy." And I finally looked down and I say, "What?" He says, "We got to go." And I just looked at him. I said, "Okay." He said, "We got outside." He said, "Mommy, you've been standing at that cash register for 7 minutes. I'm like, no, I just paid the man. He said, "No, you've just been standing there."
Okay, so what was the guy, the vampire guy doing during that 7 minutes?
He was standing behind the cash register. That was the guy I went to pay, but he was just staring at me. When I looked up at him, he was just staring at me. And it's like, I don't know what the deal was. I'm thanking God Michael didn't look up. Oh, I see the question. Have I heard the metallic noises? Yeah, I did hear the metallic noises. Actually, we pulled off the exit, and as we're getting off the exit, it's pitch black. There's no lights. And then all of a sudden, it looked like a bunch of lightning bugs. It was kind of lit up like little bugs there for a minute as we're driving. And there was this popping sound, and Michael goes, "Mommy, was that the tire?" And I'm driving, and I'm going, "No, I hope not." And then we got there, and everything smelled like kind of like sulfur, like you lit a match. I was just thinking we were near a sulfur mine, but it smelled like you lit a match the whole time we were there. I told Michael, I said, I really hope this gas ain't going to be flammable, because it literally smelled like somebody just struck a match standing right next to me. And then as we were driving back, right before I got on the exit, I heard this loud pop again. Michael goes, "Mommy, pull over." So as soon as we got on the freeway, we literally pulled over to check the tires, and the tires were fine. Everything was fine. That popping noise stopped and we were gone. So I don't know if we drove into a portal that transported us back in time. I don't know if they were planning on keeping us. I don't know if that line of people were people that got stuck there. I'm just glad I didn't.
Wow. Okay. Did the time change whatsoever that, from the point where you left the highway to go to this non-existent gas station to the point where you exited. Did you notice any time shifts?
Well, what happened was, is like I said, when we pulled off the exit, my phone plan disconnected from my phone. I don't know how that happens. I have Verizon now. Your phone is on your phone, and that's the end of it. Well, it came off. So my phone wasn't telling me the time. My watch stopped. I told Michael, I said, what is up with this watch? I kept tapping it, trying to wind it the whole night, and it wouldn't work. Michael goes, Mommy, this works for me. And he told me it was something like 11:15 or whatever. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm thinking we have great time. We're pumping gas. We're getting on the freeway. We're getting whatever. Well, when we get back on the freeway, Michael goes, Mommy, that was the longest gas stop we ever had. I said, why? He said, we've been there 45 minutes. I literally thought we were there 5.
Holy, well, you were standing at the gas or the cash register for 7, and you had no clue about that.
Yeah, I had no clue I was there. And Michael goes, that was the longest time, Mommy. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why that happened. I don't know what it was, but that scared the crap out of me. So from now on, I don't get off the freeway for anything unless it's got bright lights and it says Flying J or X on.
So what was the name of the gas station?
Charlie's.
Charlie's. Okay. Right.
Charlie's.
I am definitely going to look this up. See,
I hope you find it, because when we looked it up right after there, because Google Earth just became a thing in 2015, we looked at that spot. We pulled up the exit, and then he just kind of followed the road with his finger, and on no point was there a store. I looked it up online because the internet was a thing, not as good as it is today, but still a thing, and I found nothing. So then when I got home, got here, whatever, I went and I started looking it up through, my cousin calls it the dark web, and I just think it's stupid. Somehow or another, when I was trying to find it, I ended up on a site that was offering to commit murder. I don't know what happened. I'm trying to find it, and they're offering to do murder and to sell babies. And I don't know how I got there, and I don't know how to get off of it. But I was looking for that place, and I ended up when you know how when you Google something and it gives you all of these options? When I put that gas station in there and I went to Google it, the options it gave me was to commit murder, or it was a hitman, for 200, it wasn't Bitcoin, it was something else, but 200 something. And then there was 2 people on there offering to sell babies.
Exit 22.
Yep. Exit 22. No, 22.
22. Okay. Well, do you know the
77 Highway 77?
You know, close town.
Road.
You know, close town.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no idea. But I know, like I said, I was on 77 because 77 is a toll road. I'm looking and yeah, I've seen it. But it's a toll road, and that's where we got off as exit 22 to get gas. And it was crazy because when we got off, it didn't make us pay a toll to get back on. So how it was a toll road, I don't understand. We literally just paid the toll. Then we got off and got back on with no toll. And it's like shitty toll road.
So you bypassed the toll? That's just strange.
There was no toll. There was no toll there at all. We went to go, and I told Michael, I said, okay, we'll get off here. And he was pulling out money for the toll, and there was no toll thing. I'm like, okay, well, it's probably on the road getting back on. There was nothing there. So we just got back on the road like we never got off. But we had a full tank of gas.
But you had, okay. So you pulled off to get gas or get a drink to start off?
To get a drink and gas. Yeah, we wanted a drink, but I had a quarter tank of gas. So I figured, hey, if we're stopping for a drink, I'll get gas, because why stop twice? That's my big thing. If you got to go pee, and even if you have a half a tank of gas, if you got to go pee, get gas while you're there so you don't have to stop again.
Now this was
because we wanted something to drink.
This was in the state of Virginia, right?
In the state of Virginia.
Okay.
On 77.
Okay. All right. Like I will definitely be scouring Highway 77 for any kind of.
You are not lying.
Yeah, I'll definitely be doing that.
That's what we were looking for. But it's terrifying, and like I said, and that's what I said. So.
Was the exit left or right when you pulled in?
The exit was right.
The exit was right. Okay.
Yep, got off on the right side. And that's why I said we looked for it all we could, never could find it. The only thing I ever found is they said a station had burnt down on that location in like 85. And I'm like, okay, but it was open. There were people.
Well, the next question is: have you ever seen the vampire that hissed at you since?
In my dream once. And it was the craziest thing. And no, I didn't tell Dennis. I seen him once in a dream. This was about 2 years ago. I seen him. And I don't know why. I'd never think of that. I wouldn't have thought about it until I was telling you. It doesn't pop into my head. And I fell asleep and I dreamed about it. Not the station, the dude. It was just the dude. And I don't know why. And he kept telling me that he's going to see me soon. He said, I told you I'll see you soon.
Right.
And of course, I was asleep, so you can't hurt me in my sleep. So, yeah, right, you're going to see me soon. I don't care, whatever. And when he got close, he grabbed the hold of my arm and he twisted it. And it hurt, like elbow popping, the whole nine. I mean, it hurt really, really bad. And you will see me soon. And when you do, I'll give you what's coming to you. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Because I knew I was asleep because I'm not going to see that dude in real life.
Right.
Anywhere. So I know I'm asleep. And he twisted my arm and it hurt so bad. Well, when I woke up, my arm hurt so bad. I went and had an x-ray done and I had a chipped bone in my elbow.
I didn't do that.
No.
Oh, holy cow.
No,
So-
he didn't say you did it. He asked me, did I ever dream of the vampire guy again? And I told him about 2 years ago.
Now, when you
No.
pulled out, you exited on the right to go to this Charlie's gas station. Once you got to the Charlie's gas station, was it on the right side of the road or the left side of the road?
It was on the left side of the road.
On the left side of it. Okay.
Yeah, it was on the left side of the road. And that's what I said. I really hope somebody can find that because whatever that was,
Tell them to be careful.
yeah, if you do find it for real, don't go there.
Well, I'm not planning on leaving
Don't
right
go
this
there.
very second and go there, but holy cow.
Well,
Oh, man.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. The strangest, well, that when my mom's like what we seen at the campground and we thought it might be the dog. Well, we talked about it might be the Dogman. We were leaving and dad had called mom and mom's coming home, whatever. And this was before cell phones. We all had beepers. So we're driving home and so we hit Charlotte on the way back and got a flat tire on the van. So mom is at an exit and she pulls over. We're going to change his tire. Well, the lug nuts were rusted on the van. Now this is me, my brother, and the dog in the car with my mom. No weapons, no nothing. And this random man stops. And he looked funny. He just didn't look normal. His eyes were funny colored and he just looked kind of misshapen. And he stops and he says, I'll help you. What do we need to do? And mom explained about the tire. So he got the lugs loose on the back of got the thing down, changed the tire. Then he asked her how much money she had. Well, you don't tell anybody you have money. So
Right.
she said like $7. He said, well, I want it. So she goes to the van and she finds $7 to give him. Well, then he starts walking closer and closer. And like I said, he didn't look right. And the dog inside is going ape shit. He's like losing it. And mom's like, and I said, Mom, and she said, it's okay. And he kept getting closer to the door and closer to the door. Just about the time that he was going to come to the door where mom was standing, the dog came around that damn corner and got after him. And as soon as he got after him, whatever make him not look right, went away and he looked like a regular man. But that whole time it was like he wasn't a man. He was something else. He looked like something else. He smelled like something else. He was something else. He wasn't a man when he stopped to offer to help. And I think if it wouldn't have been for the dog, he would have not turned back into a man either.
That is
I don't know what he was,
strange.
and I don't know why he looked. His head looked like it's like dumb, like the cartoons draw professors where their head looks like an egg, where their chin's real small and their head comes up and their brain's real big.
Yep.
That's what his head looked like. It was real misshapen, and his eyes were big, and he just didn't look like a man. It was a black guy, and he just didn't look like a man. I've never seen a man ever look like that in my whole life. And when the dog come around that corner and Mom held the dog back and it almost got him, it's like whatever that was went away and he was a guy again. And I asked Mom, I said, Mom, what happened? She goes, I don't know. We have to go.
So you think that was this maybe a demon that was attached to this guy, or what would you think?
It could be, or it could have been a demon that was after us because we had just been at that campground where we kept hearing the chainsaw and the howling. So maybe there was something there that attached to us when we were there.
Ooh, okay. Now, where was this?
The dog went nuts. He disappeared.
Where was this?
That happened on the road coming out of Charlotte, headed back towards Ohio. We were just on the side of the freeway. I was probably 14 years old, so that would have made my brother 12. And if it wouldn't have been for the dog that night, I don't know what would have happened.
Dang.
Because I don't know what he would have done. He wasn't, like I said, he didn't look, he smelled like fire. Like somebody just had a bonfire in the yard and it just got all over his clothes. He smelled like smoke. And his clothes looked charred, like he had burnt the edges of his shirt. And don't know why, but he looked like he had just walked out of a burning fire, and he smelled like one too.
Like burning fire. Wow. That.
Yeah, his clothes were charred and everything, but as soon as the dog got after him, his whatever glamour, I'll call it a glamour because it went away. He looked like a regular dude, regular size head, regular size voice, because his voice was real weird and raspy, his throat had, his voice cord had been broken or cut. It was real raspy, like he was a smoker for 80 years.
Oh wow! I think I
and
think
then
I'm gonna tell you something.
As soon as the dog got after him,
I'm gonna tell you something. I rarely get chills, goosebumps or goose skin or whatever you want, goose flesh. I've gotten it 3 times talking to you on this radio show.
Oh wow!
And
oh wow!
I rarely get that, and it was just crazy. And I just got chill while you're talking, discussing this, whoever the heck this is. But
well,
wow.
Right, and that's what I said. So it's scary. So I don't know if we should be aware of nighttime. I don't know if there's something out for us. I don't know if something followed us out of that campground and we were supposed to stay there forever. There's a campground here in Ohio. It's called Ohio Power. Well, now it's AEP Power because the power company is not Ohio Power anymore, and everybody loves to change names.
Oh yeah.
So, but it's it's not. I don't know how it's a campground. It is this 100,000 acre place with. It doesn't have camping spots. They go down there and they cut down trees, and it's like they're doing it at a mill. So they cut the tree, and it's a solid slab the length of the tree. You have to take your own chainsaw and cut up the wood to do it. And you can camp here for $1 a year, but you can only stay in the same spot. You have to move every 6 months. So you stay down there all year if you want to. We could move our houses down there if we wanted to.
You just have to move it every 6 months.
I was looking at it. Right. Yep. And I was looking on YouTube earlier, and there's a bunch of, come to Ohio Power, look at the hidden lake, da 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 da. But I've always heard the stories about how there's werewolves and coyotes and all these things down there, and all these things that will eat you if you're not careful. And it's like, I am kind of afraid to go down there because if there is something attached to me or attached to Dennis, it could be 1,000 times worse in a place where it can run rampant. What if we get down there and a Dogman eats us because something's attached to us and it's attracted to us? Because we were watching that earlier, that Land Between the Lakes, that family that got eaten by the Dogman. They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything to attract him. They were Amish, so there was no cologne, no this, no perfumes, no nothing. They were just regular people, and they got attacked. And the people that were in the space, because I've heard like 5 different versions of the story, and the people that were in the space, like right across from them, nothing happened to those people. Those people didn't see what happened. They don't know what happened. How can 2 full-grown monsters attack this family with people in this campground and no one's seen a thing? So that's how I feel about going to Ohio Power, is we're going to get down there. And Dennis likes to call these people the gigglers because what do you call them? The people, the backwood, you've seen the movies, The Hills Have Eyes and whatnot.
Feral people.
where they
Feral.
where they attack people. Yeah, he calls them gigglers because every time they get after you in the movies, they laugh. And so that's the thing that's down there. They have a lot of people that live there, and they just move their house. And I am so scared to go down there for fear whatever that's attracted to us will find us, and it'll be clear open.
Well, I hate to do this. I would love to have you back on for another show, but
Okay.
I've drunk too much coffee and soda, or no, I got tea tonight. But I'm gonna have to.
That's what I drink, is a lot of sweet tea. Ever since cancer, I went from a 12-pack of Mountain Dew to sweet tea totally. Lost 30 pounds.
Oh wow! So what I've I've sat here drunk I don't know how much of tea and coffee, but I've got I unfortunately you do the math, you know what I've got to do, but what's that?
Oh, I don't know. He's talking.
Yeah, you saw that Burger King. That's
the Burger King drink. Yeah,
that's a big old sucker right there, and I've got about 2/3 of the way gone. So,
wow.
But you have, I don't know. I've interviewed a whole lot of people. I mean, I don't know how many people I've interviewed. That's all right, man. Appreciate it. But
he keeps saying that's all right.
You have given me the chills. I mean, just literally chill bumps talking to you. And that is extremely rare, to say the least. But what I'm going to do, I appreciate you being on the show, you and your husband Dennis. I appreciate it greatly, and I believe everyone. Unfortunately, that's I know that's true. Those stories that you just told, and the chill bumps just ran all over me for it. But I'm going to go ahead and say a quick prayer, and I will definitely get in touch with you and Dennis again, and I'll hopefully have you back on. I know that you're not. I know you're not done. I know you're not done with your.
Oh no, I got a few more, which is crazy because I haven't thought about these things in years.
Oh Lord, have mercy. But anyway, thank you for being on the show. I'm gonna go ahead and say a quick prayer, and I've got to end this show pretty quick, or my bladder's going to burst on me. But, Father in heaven, thank you for today. Thank you for this show and all that have come to listen or will listen to this show. Lord Jesus Christ, in thy love and mercy, establish a perimeter of protection around my listeners, the participants, Jamie, and Dennis. Or not Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis.
Dennis. Yeah, Dennis. For whatever reason, my late father-in-law just popped in my head. Establish, Dennis and Jamie, myself, and all our loved ones, those who pray for us and their loved ones. May the holy angels guard us and all our possessions, establishing a perimeter of protection around us, rendering us immune from any kind of demonic influence. Ask no demonic bondage, door, demonic entity, portal, astral projection, or disembodied spirit may enter here in the space of 100 yards in all directions of us. I ask that any demons within the vicinity or any that should be tried to enter here be rendered deaf, dumb, and blind, that thou would strip them of all weapons, armor, power, illusions, and authority, that thou would bind, rebuke, and disable them from communicating or interacting with each other in any way. Remove them, sending them directly to the foot of thy cross. Jesus, Son of the Most High. Father in heaven, please bless the following folks. Shell and Aiden, Laura and her family, Julian, Jeff, Sharon, Guy, Patrick, Brenda, Julie S., Aaron and Erica, AJK, Claire Ellis, Dahl, Gil and Jayla and Breland, plus their mama Janice. Stimulate Jack and his children, Juanita Hicks, Lee, Amy, Beth and Kurt and their father. Wes and his dad, T. Willis, Daryl Pratt, Jose Ramirez, Julie Wheeler, Marquetta Jones and her family, Holly, Sharon Arms, and Kevin, and anyone else that has unspoken prayers. Please bless them as you see fit. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you for being on. It turned out to be a show with just you folks. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm sorry. I
No.
monopolized all your time. Maybe I'll stop and listen to the show next week, and I'll call back in after that.
Lord have mercy. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to you. You gave me the goose pimples not once, not twice, but 3 times. Lord have mercy, folks. I appreciate you. Jamie Dennis, thank you for calling. You have been a blessing, definitely. It's just way, way, way crazy how that happened. And I'm just looking at the poster that's been produced for this show, and before I even talked to you or Dennis, and I'm just astounded how what was going on there. But there's similarities and stuff in my head for whatever. But anyway, God bless y'all. God bless you and Dennis, and I hope that you keep on the road to recovery and grow your hair back any way, shape, form, or fashion that you wish. So.
Yes, sir, and I bless you too.
Bless you, folks. If you would pray for my mom and my sister, my new grand niece and nephew, the twins. They all have that big C19 stuff, and they were getting big or getting better big. Gee whiz, what the heck? They're getting better. I talked to them today, and they've grown a little bit more healthier, stronger. At least mom's getting up and around and stuff. But if you would say a prayer for them, I'd appreciate it. So, folks, I will see you probably Saturday night. God bless y'all, and I'll keep it between the mayonnaise and the mustard.